Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get on started here. We're starting about 3 minutes early, but I figured we will cover ASUS. So ASUS actually is at Gamescom, as you guys probably know if you're paying attention to Gamescom. For those that don't know, Gamescom is a pretty large convention that takes place in Germany once every year. It is happening right now this week, so it's typically in August. So this is the Gamescom 2024. It is mostly dedicated to the gaming and media industry, particularly the PC and the console gaming industry, so not so much mobile gaming, but mobile gaming is also kind of lumped in there as well. But I think if you're someone who pays attention to mobile games, next month is the Tokyo Game Show, and the TGS typically covers more console and mobile, and not, I don't want to say like premier AAA games. You do see that at TGS, but Gamescom is typically the place that is going to be more suited for those who are gaming on PC in terms of what they actually show off. So ASUS did a show earlier today. We're going to actually be going over that. I'm going to be reacting to most of that. I don't think we're going to look through the whole thing. It is pretty long. The whole show lasted over an hour long, and it went over some of the, as you guys can see on the screen right now, new motherboards for the recently released Ryzen 9000 series CPUs. These motherboards are meant to be paired up with a 9000 series processor. That being said, if you currently are thinking about making the jump to AM5 because you're on an old PC, for example, I would recommend waiting for these motherboards, because these motherboards, as we're going to look at what ASUS has announced, there are some new features in these motherboards that are not in older motherboards. So we're going to get into that. But let me see. How are we doing on time? So let's go ahead and switch on over here to ahead of the game. So this is going to be kind of a live. This was live earlier. I'm going to be reacting to a lot of this, so it's going to be more like reaction content. But we are going to be talking in a lens mostly focused on PC gaming, because they're going to announce a bunch of stuff, just kind of skimming through here. But let's go ahead and get started here.
Welcome to the 2024 ROG Ahead of the Game press conference. Join us as we unveil the latest innovations and breakthroughs in gaming hardware. Starting off with a bang, let us welcome to the stage Lin for our new groundbreaking motherboard lineup.
Hello and welcome to the ROG Ahead of the Game event. Today we have prepared a great show to unveil the latest innovations on our motherboards, AI coolers, networking products, peripherals,
for
and
people
displays.
who are not like
we are
paying
really
attention to the audio, we'll
excited
just
to
keep
dive
this on.
deep into performance enhancements, AI integration, and design elements that came to mind when creating.
Lin is the senior product manager of the motherboards. That means this is the guy focused on the motherboards.
These products. And to start off the show, how can we not talk about AI PC?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're not even like, we're literally 1 minute into the show, less than 1 minute in, and AI is being mentioned.
As it has already
advanced AI PC ready.
The world by storm lately.
Here we go, AI PC.
Even before AI took center stage, we at ASUS were already prepared for the upcoming challenges by offering a series of product strategies, including cutting-edge hardware and software solutions. For instance, our AI overclocking fine-tunes CPU performance based on your system configuration for optimal results. AI Cooling 2 manages optimal cooling at reduced noise, while the new AI Networking 2 with...
Whoa. They've got like so much AI stuff now. AI overclocking wasn't really new, as far as I understand. That's been out for a while. AI cooling I've never heard of that, I've never heard of that. AI networking too, that just sounds like some kind of software-based QoS application side thing that I don't think anyone really needs, to be honest. But we'll see what he has to say. We'll let him talk.
This added features ensures you to stay connected reliably. Ensure
It says secret. Oh, you guys can't see it because of me. but it says number 1 secret code X870E AI networking. AI networking.
An ASUS powered AI PC offers easy one-click option for optimizing system performance. And for those who love tweaking CPU performance, ASUS offers a dynamic OC switcher on our current AMD 600.
This is something that's pretty cool, actually. So this existed on X670 and maybe B650 as well. The dynamic overclocking switcher, where, so those of you who are into overclocking, if you've overclocked Ryzen CPUs from the past 4 years or so, you know that they have 2 modes for overclocking. There's the OC mode, which no one actually uses because that's more like static voltage. You know, you lose C states, you lose the ability for the processor to scale back on power consumption. That's basically meant for world record overclocking. So that's OC mode. So the arrow on the left, he's saying manual OC. That's actually that OC mode where it's like static voltage and you lose C states, it disables curve optimizer, it disables PBO, all that stuff like shuts off and the processor basically runs at a static speed. That's the manual OC. Then on the right, he says AMD PBO. That's what most people who overclock Ryzen CPUs are familiar with. That's that negative offset curve optimizer, you know, performance boost, override, all that stuff. So that one gives you better, they're claiming here that the PBO gives you better single thread performance, but the manual OC can give you better multi-threaded performance. So think like Cinebench scores and stuff like that. So this is something that I've always wanted to try, but I don't have an ASUS motherboard, at least a modern one, that has this functionality because I currently use another vendor's motherboard. So, but if I were to upgrade to an X870 motherboard, for example, this would be something that I'd be interested in testing.
Series motherboards.
Hey RK, good evening. Hey Nero. They already have QoS software that talks directly to their routers as well as fan curve optimizer and overclocking software. Yeah, they're basically just rebranding a lot of that stuff. Like the QoS thing, that's getting an AI name. The fan thing is also getting an AI name.
We'll continue to support the upcoming A100.
But anybody who has like a Crosshair motherboard, I'm curious to know. I know RK has one. If you've ever tested this dynamic OC switcher functionality and if it's actually legitimately good, because this is something that they have. I'm not aware of their competitors having this kind of feature. But I think it is, if their competitors don't have this is a key differentiator for overclocking. I don't think it's a deal breaker. I feel like if you're someone who has like MSI or Gigabyte or BioStar or ASRock, you may not be missing out on too much, but it is an interesting thing that they're talking about. I will say that.
At launch. This features allows auto switch between AMD Precision Boost Overdrive, aka PBO, and manual all-core overclocking mode, giving you the best performance of any task that you're tackling. And Core Flex is also here, allowing you to take control of your system's clock speed, power, and thermal settings. And it's so simple. You can max out the best clock during lighter loads, and then gradually reduce CPU frequency as things heat up. You'll realize that your system is highly adaptable and allows you to fine-tune your CPU's performance exactly how you want at all situations.
Okay, so that basically means that those 3 parameters that allow you to, in the BIOS that you can tweak to enable eco mode versus OC, or not OC, but like PBO overdrive settings and that sort of thing. I think what they're saying is that Core Flex is something that can control that in software. That's what it sounds like.
In addition to the CPU-related features,
or is it something that the ASUS motherboard can control dynamically? That would be very interesting if it was the latter, because I've never heard of any motherboard doing something like that.
AMD X870E motherboard.
Okay, this is actually pretty important, what he's about to talk about.
The boards also feature major upgrades on DDR5 performance with our new IP-protected memory technology. Let's take a quick look over here This is a common DIMM slot design, where the DRAM's contact point with the slot is shown as yellow blocks. The residual areas highlighted in red are the noise interference usually occurs. And with the new Nitro Path DRAM technology on our ROG Crosshair XS70E Hero and ROG Strix XS70E-E gaming Wi-Fi motherboards, we're able to greatly reduce its noise interference by shortening the gold finger pings near 40% to optimize signal pathways between CPU and DRAM. Our testing on the DDR5 8000 memories further demonstrate a performance increase with up to 400 megatransfer per second.
Okay, see, now this is very interesting to me. As somebody who has done a lot of content on DDR5 in the last almost 2 years now, but especially in the last several months, since this year started actually, where the challenge with DDR5, it wasn't really about getting high speeds. That wasn't really the challenge. That was solved last year. The problem that I've actually investigated a lot this year has been 4 sticks of DDR5, because a lot of people have been wanting to run 4 sticks of memory, either because they think it looks nicer than 2 sticks, having all the DIMM slots filled in, or they need the extra capacity that you get with running 4 sticks of memory, especially when you're running dual rank DIMMs. So think 128 gigs of RAM or 192 gigs of RAM. And I've done a lot of extensive tweaking to be able to figure out how to actually run 4 sticks of RAM at speeds at like 5600 or even 6000 megatransfers. So I'm able to get that running stable on the current technology. But what he's saying here could potentially make 4 sticks of DDR5 significantly more, I want to say, viable from a speed point of view, because they're saying frequency up to 400 megatransfers higher. And the way they're able to do that, because if you guys have seen my videos on this subject, you'll know that we always talk about the resistivity and the impedance of the wires as the limiting factor that determines how fast your RAM can run, but also how much RAM you can actually install in the PC, particularly 4 sticks of memory. So this patented, well, it's patent pending, is what he's saying when he says IP, under IP protection. That means ASUS is claiming that this is a technology that they've invented, and their competitors aren't going to be able to use this. Or if they want to do something similar to this, they're going to have to find some alternative way to achieve the same result. But this could potentially be a huge improvement to 4 sticks of DDR5 on ASUS X870 and X870E motherboards. So this is actually probably the most interesting thing that he's shown so far. OC Switcher is available on the Master. Wait, on the Master? Wait, really? So wait, I thought OC Switcher was an ASUS thing. The Master's a Gigabyte board. If it is, you're going to have to let me know about that later. I definitely want to look into that.
Additionally, we have significantly...
And when I say later, I mean where do I need to go to access that in the BIOS, assuming it's in there somewhere, or if it's like a software thing?
Enhance the slot's physical structure, increasing its retention force by 57% compared to conventional DIMM slot design. And
okay, that's
like
good.
Always, you can surely count on top quality components and advanced power design on the latest AMD 800 series motherboards to ensure system stability. And leading the way is our
So far, now he's going to talk about VRMs. VRMs are complete overkill on AM5, so all this stuff is kind of redundant, and it's well understood that it's fine. But what he just talked about, the DRAM thing, could potentially be a differentiating factor between X870 and X670. Because the challenge with X670, and actually, this is true for all current DDR5 motherboards. It doesn't matter if we're talking about AMD motherboards or Intel motherboards. Both of them have these current limitations where you can't run 4 sticks of dual rank DIMMs at higher speeds. You're pretty much limited on Intel. You can get up to about 4,800 if you're lucky with 192 gigs of RAM. And then if you're on AMD, well, I mean, because AMD allows you to modify the impedance values, you cannot do this on Intel. But on AMD, you can technically run 6,000 megatransfers of 192 gigs of RAM. I have a video showing how to do it on this channel. We did it earlier this year. It is not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of trial and error involved because it's dependent on your motherboard, it's dependent on your RAM, and it's dependent on your CPU. The CPU is the least important factor when it comes to trying to run 192 gigs of RAM at 6,000, believe it or not. The CPU is the most reliable component, so it's actually the motherboard that has the hardest, I guess, the most weight. Like, it's weighted heavily toward the motherboard and its ability in terms of its wire trace selection and its impedance values and resistivity that determines whether or not the RAM can run at a speed like 6,000 if you have 192 gigs of RAM. See, this is not an easy thing to do with current motherboards. So I just want to point that out. It is impossible on Intel today with the current motherboards and the current... Well, with Intel, there's some other things that you can't actually change the impedance values in the same granularity that you can on AMD motherboards. So really, this is only something that has existed on AMD, hence why ASUS is talking about it with respect to AMD motherboards.
Crosshair X-S70E Hero, featuring a robust 18 power phase configuration with 110 amps power stages, all built on a 2-ounce 8-layer PCB.
2-ounce 8... Oh, he's talking about... Okay.
To provide...
I don't know if that's different from last time. I feel like... I remember 2-ounce copper 8-layer being a thing for the ROG Crosshair Hero on X670.
Excellent cooling performance under heavy loads. And to fully unleash the exceptional powers of our motherboard and CPU.
This kind of stuff that he's talking about, like the VRMs and all those power stages, this only really matters if you're one of the guys who really wants to do XOC, meaning extreme overclocking. If you're going to be using dry ice, if you're going to be using liquid nitrogen, you're going for world records, you're in that competitive environment, that's the kind of thing where this can potentially make a difference. For every regular person who just wants to play games, this is what he's talking about right now doesn't mean anything. Like it's complete noise to the gamers because it doesn't actually matter. Because the Zen 5 CPUs never really pull that much electricity in the first place for this to even matter. But the RAM stuff does actually matter, especially if you're someone who wants to run a lot of RAM.
Having an excellent cooler is also essential. We're excited to introduce our new AIO cooler, the ROG Legion 3 360 ARGB Extreme. This new Extreme cooler features enhanced Aztec Gen 8 V2 pump for top-notch cooling on the upcoming...
He said Aztec. Like the Native American tribe, the empire, the Aztec Empire. I thought it's pronounced Aztec. He just pronounced it Aztec. Like the Aztecs. The Aztecs down in Mexico City. Like, wait, what? Anyway, Scatterbencher used it in one of his OC guides. The thing that sounds new about it is it's dynamically adjusting frequency based on temp. Okay. Yeah. I knew that it was something that existed previously. I just didn't know what was actually changing about it.
AMD and Intel platforms. It not only keeps your CPU cool, but also includes our iconic embedded fan to maintain optimal temperature on your motherboard's VRMs. And the ROG Daisy channelable radiator fans have been upgraded from 25 to 30 millimeters.
They made the fans 5 millimeters thicker
to further improve its cooling performance while maintaining a low noise level. While all the lightings and fan connections are combined into just one single cable for simpler installation and easier cable management. We have also upgraded its LCD panel. The Extreme rocks a 3.5-inch IPS display.
But they got a
with
30
the
hertz
refresh
screen
rate
on there now.
Upgraded from 30 hertz
What was it before?
to 60 hertz.
Oh, wait, what?
And
Okay,
the
it was a
resolution
30 hertz.
pop
It's a
up
60
from
hertz
240p
screen now.
to 480p.
480p.
Besides hardware upgrades.
Wait, hold on. You get a 480p screen that runs at 60 hertz on a liquid cooler? How much is this thing going to cost? Like $500? What is this? Did they change the color depth? Is it 32-bit color depth now?
The new Extreme cooler also makes significant progress in software features,
Lawsuit fans.
offering more customizable options including enhanced system info displays, LG fin animations, and useful clock functions to add character on your personalized build. Next coming is networking. With the support of Wi-Fi 7, smooth online
Here we go, Wi-Fi 7. Everybody complaining about how they want a PC that has Wi-Fi 7, even though the people that are complaining don't even have a router that supports Wi-Fi 7. That's the ironic thing about it.
access, seamless sharing, and quick connections to local devices all become essentials. Our A70 series Wi-Fi model
That ASUS cooler with the 60 hertz screen needs to have FreeSync Premium. It's only 60 hertz though. Does it really need FreeSync Premium if it's 60 hertz? I mean, yeah, it needs to have HDR, but does it really need FreeSync though? Like, is anyone actually gonna play a game on it?
deliver just that by offering 320 megahertz bandwidth on the 6 gigahertz
It'll be like watching somebody play Fortnite on a phone, but instead it's on a ASUS cooler from ASUS.
band and multi-link operation for managing multiple connections simultaneously. Plus, we have brought Q antenna to the AMD platform as well. Hardware-wise, it's just so easy to use with its innovative plug design. And software-wise, the Fast Check tool allows you to quickly glance at connection quality.
You know what's funny about this? There will be a video that comes out, I guess, this weekend on my channel about PlayStation VR 2 on PC. You know what's funny? A lot of people that were having problems with PlayStation 5 VR working on, or PlayStation VR 2 on PC, do you know what the problem was? They were trying to connect the Bluetooth. They were trying to pair their controllers with the Bluetooth on their motherboard. And people were complaining about the controllers not, like, losing signal, like disconnecting, as if the battery was dead. You know what the actual problem was? Those individuals that were doing that and saying that it doesn't work, they didn't have this antenna. They didn't have their motherboard antenna connected to their motherboard. That's why they had that problem. Because I set it up, and it worked flawlessly for me. And I was thinking, like, man, all these people having problems. Like, I'm pretty sure Rich from Digital Foundry, shout out to Digital Foundry, but I think Rich had this same problem. And I think it was because, I'm pretty sure it's because he did not connect his Wi-Fi / Bluetooth, because a lot of people don't know that the antenna for your Wi-Fi on your motherboard is also the antenna for your Bluetooth. So if you're going to use Bluetooth with your motherboard, you need to have the antenna connected. So I'm pretty sure, like, the Digital Foundry fell victim to the same issue. They simply just did not have the antenna plugged in, and a whole bunch of other people did not have the antenna plugged in at all, and that's what it was. Because I remember, like, listening to some of that, and I'm like, how are these people having this problem? And then I was looking at when mine was working flawlessly, and then I was like, hold on a second, don't tell me these guys are not using the antenna. So you know what I did? I unplugged my antenna from my motherboard, and sure enough, if I back away from the computer with the PlayStation controllers, the VR controllers, sure enough, they disconnect. And I was like, man, and then I moved them right up to the case, and they reconnect. So I was like, okay, it's the antenna. These guys are not using the antenna. So anyway, the antenna is behind their case, soaking up all. Yeah, but typically the antenna is strong enough to overpower the metal of the case. So, like, my antenna, I mean, I've got it right here. Well, I can't pull it because it's down here on the floor next to the case, but it's literally on the case, and it's actually wired up to the thing right now. But yeah, that's what it is, guys. Like, if you're doing PSVR 2 on PC, you have to have a motherboard that has the antenna connected. Just public service announcement on that, because that's going to be in a video on the channel later. I'm going to cover PlayStation VR 2 on PC. I think it's the best VR headset for PC VR right now, mainly because it is an OLED. It's an OLED VR display, or it's just awesome. Like, it's just so good. The refresh rate is insanely good. 120 hertz, OLED. The colors just look great. You don't have to worry about the battery like you do with the Quest 3 or the Meta Quest 3. So it's, yeah, man. Anyway, we're going on a tangent talking about VR all of a sudden. But yeah, that's something that will show up on this channel soon.
While the direction finder helps you to find the best position to strengthen your signal. And if you happen to own one of our ASUS routers to pair them up, then you must try out our AI networking tool's new feature, the Traffic Monitor. It lets you track your current Wi-Fi channel usage. With a click of the channel switch button, you can now move to a less congested channel for better network. It also allows you to switch between 2.4, 5, and 6 GHz bands for a smoother and more reliable connection. And that's not all. Our goal is to make your PC building experience as straightforward as possible. And Q Antenna is just a small part of our current existing easy DIY features.
Oh, that thing actually has a name? They call it the Q Antenna. The Wi-Fi 7 antenna is called the Q Antenna.
Others like the Q Code and QLED for easy debugging, and the clear CMOS and BIOS flashback buttons for faster troubleshooting are all fan favorite features. And we will continue to push the boundaries to make PC DIY even easier and more accessible for everyone. And by doing so, we were the first to introduce the PCIe slot queue release back in 2021. Greatly reduce the hassle of removing graphics card by just adding one small button on the board. And this time, with the launch of AMD...
That quick disconnect button is so good. Once you get used to using that, you can never go back to the old way of removing graphics cards. It's just way too convenient. Especially for somebody like me who uses a big giant Noctua D15. Having a giant air cooler block the PCIe slot, so you have to stick like a screwdriver down there to undo the graphics card. Like, man, the button is just, wow, it's just so good.
These XS70 series, we have taken a step further to simplify the queue release. The new PCIe slot queue release link eliminates the button design altogether, featuring an auto unlock mechanism that you can just pull and go.
Wait, what? An auto unlock? What?
The new PCIe slot queue release link eliminates the button design altogether.
The PCIe slot queue release slim? This is new. What is this? Eliminates the button design.
Together, featuring an auto unlock mechanism that you can just pull and go. As time goes by, more and more easy DIY designs are seen on the market, and we're glad to be acknowledged for starting such trend with our contribution to the PC DIY community. However, our mission is not yet accomplished.
You have to pull it from the IO side? Is that good? Is that better though? I don't know. I kind of like the button, but it depends on how it works.
But just another start. Allow me to present to you another comprehensive feature, the M.2 queue release. With a simple press, you can effortlessly remove...
Okay, so they made the M.2 like way easier to remove. I like that.
Move the M.
Although, I don't know, man. Like, this push button, M.2, I feel like someone could probably screw this up and either damage their drive or, like, accidentally disconnect their drive, depending on how easy it is to press that button.
M.2 heatsink. Well, paired out with the revamped press to release M.2 Q latch, just makes the whole process even smoother.
I guess if the heatsink is on there, you can't use the push button. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Moreover, we have added the new feature Q Slide for easy adjustments on various M.2 lamps when needed. And most importantly, all these designs are rock solid and will hold your SSD tight in place. And that's enough talk about hardware innovations. Let's move on to BIOS upgrade. We are thrilled to introduce the BIOS Q dashboard, a motherboard
So it's probably $700.
navigator built under
I'm gonna guess it's around $700 because that's what the price of the previous Hero was.
BIOS, designed to provide seamless monitoring on all devices connected to your board. To
Wait, what is he saying?
access the Q dashboard,
Wait, what?
devices.
Q. Oh, okay. He's saying like the motherboard has all these different sensors that report different things, all the different connectors.
connected to your board. To access the Q dashboard, you can go to the Tool tab, or you can simply press the Insert key on your keyboard.
You know, the ASUS BIOS interface, this user interface has not changed since like 2016 or 2015. I think they introduced this look on their boards in 2015. It's literally 9 years old. This style, the way this thing looks, hasn't changed in almost a decade.
As a shortcut. See, now I can tell.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just pointing that out.
I have a USB device connected here at this board, a SATA device over here, and an SSD under this M.2 slot. And that's not all. All these tabs can actually work as shortcut, and let me show you how. I can now go to the CPU fan header by simply press Enter. It will bring me right to the Q fan page for CPU cooler fan settings. Q dashboard opens the possibility to quickly go through each corresponding setting page in the fastest and most intuitive way possible. And that's all the motherboard goodies for today, but the show wouldn't be completed if you haven't seen some eye-catching boards on the stage. Here's our full lineup of this year's ROG XS70E and XS70 series.
Okay, this is it. This is it. Remember what I taught you guys? I taught you how to recognize the flagships. We talked about the 4 flagships, like the 4 Horsemen of Darkness. The Hero is one of the 4. It is one of the 4 mighty. The Crosshair X870E Hero. It's one of the 4. There are still 3 more Dark Masters. One from MSI, one from Gigabyte, and one from ASRock. But now the first of the 4 has been revealed.
Leading by our ROG Crosshair XS70E
There it
Hero.
is. The Hero.
Sleek,
The Crosshair Hero.
design with
The
integrated
flagship
lighting
motherboard.
accents. The upgraded polymer lighting too just creates an even more attractive atmosphere for competitive play. And following that is our ROG Strix series. The X
Number 2, second strongest, Captain Ginyu. The Strix X870E-E. E-E is always like the $500 motherboard.
SF
So this one is the $500 one, for those wondering. So the Crosshair Hero is probably, I'm going to guess it's around $700 or $699. The Strix E-E is going to be the $499 motherboard. So this is going to be the $500 one. This one will also have a postcode, unless they downgrade it, but it should have the postcode. It pretty much has like almost all the exact same stuff, except it's $200 cheaper, so it's going to lack like the OC, measure points, and that kind of stuff that the Crosshair Hero always has.
70E-E delivers strong M.2 performance. Not only does it feature the M.2Q release for one of the Gen 5 M.2s, but it also includes an additional massive heatsink with a hip-hop design to support another 2 Gen 5 M.2 for optimal performance.
This one has a heat pipe for the M.2, for the Gen 5 M.2s. Are you getting here this time? I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm not 100% convinced if I'm actually needing to get a new motherboard. The only thing that's going to convince me is the memory. It's all to me, it's going to come down to the memory. Like 100% memory. Like all this other stuff, I kind of view it as gimmicks. But because I'm just thinking about how I will actually use my computer. And a lot of these things are things that you'll play around with like day one, and then you'll forget about all of them. So, but yeah, the memory stuff could be potentially a game changer.
Next on the right is our Strix F, featuring a refreshing curvy ILO look with the iconic ROG logo to enlighten your build. And further down the left is our all-white Strix A, with a clean stripe.
Oh, they're only showing ROG. This is all about the Republic of Gamers. I mean, that makes sense because it's at Gamescom. So we're not going to see TUF. We're not going to see Prime, Pro Art, all their other brands, their market segments. They're not going to show all that here.
Striking look that looks a bit different this time. Last, for those interested in small form factor builds, this year's IDX follows the trendy liquid metal fin, which is
Okay, that one right there, that 2DIMM board, that's probably the one that's going to be able to get like 9600 mega transfers on the DDR5 because it's a 2DIMM motherboard. So this is probably going to be capable of running like 96 gigs of RAM at some ridiculously high speeds, probably in excess of 10,000 mega transfers, if I had to guess. Because you're not really limited by AMD's memory controller. You're always, when it comes to DDR5 on AMD, you're always limited by the motherboard's capability and the RAM itself. That's always the limiting factor when it comes to DDR5.
Just looks fantastic in person. Both the fan favorite FPS card and the newly
The Prime and Pro are okay. We're gonna have to look at those later.
upgraded ROG Strix Hive 2 are also included this.
See, my thing with the Pro Art, I think the Pro Art is actually a really good motherboard. The only thing is ASUS wants to charge like $500 for a Pro Art motherboard, yet they don't include the postcode debug. So it's like, why are they giving the gamer Strix E-E a postcode debug, but they're not giving a content creation professional, which is it's supposed to be like a workstation-ish type product? Why does it not have a postcode when the gamer one gets the postcode? Like, see, I don't understand. And at the same price, I don't get that.
This year, offering countless possibilities of your custom build. Next coming are our ASUS XS70E
Oh, here they are.
and
Okay.
XS70 series. If you enjoy casual gaming, our Tough Gaming XS70 Plus is a great
If you enjoy, hold on a second. He just said if you enjoy casual gaming. Wait, back up, dude. What did you say?
enjoy casual
If you enjoy casual gaming,
our Tough Gaming
our Tough Gaming
X70
X870 Plus
is a great choice
Wi-Fi
for
is a
you.
great choice.
The
Whoa. Why do casual gamer? Why is the Tough for casual gamers? I didn't know that. I did not know that. Legitimately, I thought that the Strix was for the casuals. Really? The Tough is for the casual gamers? People who play Genshin Impact are supposed to use a Tough? What?
brand new ProArt XS70E Creator Wi-Fi is designed for creative.
Well, dude, that's what he said. He literally just said that. That's not coming from me. That's coming from the product manager of ASUS motherboards. He himself said, if you're a casual gamer, the Tough Gaming is for you. Okay, that's a strong declaration.
Professionals with powerful hardware and software, offering efficient cooling and lightning-fast connectivity. And for those who are looking for simple Wi-Fi builds, don't overlook our Prime XS70P Wi-Fi.
I don't know what they've done to Prime, man. Prime used to be really cool. Prime was really good in the era where AMD had no good CPUs and Intel just copy-paste every quad-core every year. It's like, that was when Prime was actually in its prime. You know, no pun intended, but for real. Like, if you guys remember how it was from like 2013 or like 2014 up until Ryzen came out in 2017, like that 3-4 year time frame was when ASUS launched Prime, and Prime was legitimately good. Prime was like the first motherboard that had the I/O cover. Then every motherboard started putting covers on the I/O. Now look at Prime. Prime is like, it's like a retiree motherboard now. Like, what happened to it, man? It was like the coolest thing back then. Like 10 years ago, Prime was the most Prime thing you could get. Now it's like how Athlon, the AMD Athlon CPU brand, it went from being like the good brand, like the good mainstream brand, to like the budget brand, and now it doesn't even exist anymore.
At the end, let's remind you again about our ROG Ryujin 3 Extreme. That will certainly help you get the most out of your Ryzen CPUs. All above are our remarkable AMD XS70E and XS70 series motherboards set to be launched by the end of September. Next,
Okay, they're launching before the end of next month, essentially.
I would like to invite our longtime partner from AMD to share more exciting information with you.
Thank you so much for letting AMD.
Oh, this
be a
guy.
part
Luckily, I
of
moved
ASUS's
myself
launch
up.
of
Otherwise,
their
I'd be
800
literally
series
like on top of this dude. You
AM5
couldn't even see
motherboards
him.
at Gamescom. ASUS and AMD have
David
a long
McAfee from
history
AMD.
of
Wait, hold on. This is the
co-engineering.
vice president. This is the vice president and general manager of the client graphics channel business.
800 series AM5 motherboards.
He's
at
the VP.
Gamescom. ASUS and AMD have a long history
Yeah, that's
of
true.
co-engineering
ASUS and
and
AMD go
innovation,
way back.
pushing the envelope further and further on.
Look at that, 2007. These guys have been partners since the 2000s decade, and it could have even been further back in the late 90s. Fun fact: the ROG brand originally started because of a partnership between AMD and ASUS. If it wasn't for AMD and ASUS's partnership, there would be no ROG. It would not be called Republic of Gamers. The very first Republic of Gamers product was the original ROG Crosshair. The very first Crosshair was also the very first Republic of Gamers product from ASUS. That's why they list it here. And it also broke a CPU overclocking world record.
What designs can do. That goes all the way back to the launch of the first.
So if you're ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and that question comes up, what was the very first ASUS Republic of Gamers product? The answer is the original Crosshair motherboard.
Products. With the ASUS ROG Crosshair motherboard in the AM4 ecosystem delivering record-breaking overclocking performance. And we haven't stopped since. If you look at AMD's and ASUS's portfolio today, we're building new categories like the ASUS ROG Ally together for gaming handhelds.
Oh yeah, the
We're
Ally.
pushing
The Ally
envelope
X
in
too,
AI
now the newer
PCs
one.
with the ASUS Strix notebook products. And in the desktop space, products like the 800 series motherboards that are being launched here at Gamescom bring new innovation and capability for demanding performance desktop users. Now, our focus in the desktop space really spans a few areas. First and foremost, it's about delivering performance leadership.
Wait a minute,
And
hold
here
on a
at
second.
AMD and ASUS
David
push the boundaries
McAfee has
in every
a
product
Crosshair
generation to give
X87E Hero
enthusiast
behind
desktop
him.
users the absolute most performance and
You
capability.
guys see that?
But it's not all about performance.
He has the
Efficiency
Crosshair
is
behind
also
him.
important to many
The new
users.
one, the one coming
And
out next
here
month.
We're trying to deliver products that deliver more and more performance per watt and energy efficiency in each and every generation. When it comes
Man,
to
I'm getting jealous. He
overclocking,
has one of
we
those behind me.
know
He's
that
even
our
using it.
enthusiast desktop
It's
users
just sitting
want
there. He
more
like took it out of
control
the system and put it
more
behind him just
flexibility.
for the video shoot.
And here we're partnering with ASUS to bring amazing overclocking capabilities and performance uplifts for novice and advanced overclockers on our AM5 boards. And last but not least, it's about our commitment to longevity. With AM4, AMD has delivered unprecedented platform longevity to
What
the
team
market.
is that in the
With
picture on the
AM5,
slide
we've
there
recently
on the
extended our
left side?
commitment
They have
to
an
deliver new
esports team
products
right
into
there,
that AM5 ecosystem
sponsored by
through
the looks like the
2027
Ryzen
and
group.
beyond. Now at Computex,
It's probably a
we
League of
announced
Legends
our
team.
next generation 9000 series Ryzen desktop processors, featuring the Zen 5 CPU core, DDR5 memory support, and PCI Gen 5 expandability for graphics and storage. Today, the
Yeah, it's
complete
pretty much
lineup
all the stuff that we've been
of
talking about for
9000
over a
series
month.
processors is in market.
You'll be
and
getting the
available
Hero?
for consumers. From
Yeah.
the Ryzen 9,
It is smart
16-core
to
and
wait,
12-core
RK, if you are
processors
planning on getting a
to the
motherboard,
Ryzen 7
because you
8-core
will get
processors
the,
and
like,
the
assuming you're
Ryzen
going to get it
5
from Micro
6-core
Center, you're going to get the
processors.
bundle deal from Micro Center. So you'll
But what
save
I'm
money
most
on the
excited
board
about is
or the
what's
CPU,
coming
depending on how you look
next
at it.
from ASUS
And by the time
with
you
our
get
800
it,
series
they might
motherboards
actually have
that
the
we're
memory.
building
I
together.
know that they're
With
offering,
the 800 series of motherboards,
like, Micro
we
Center
brought
gave
new
me free
innovation in
32
terms of
gigs of RAM
technology
when I
and
bought the
capability at the
9700X.
top of the stack with
So
our
they'll probably roll that out to the
and
9950X in a couple of
motherboards
weeks.
featuring
If they do, I'm going to try to
Gen
go back there
5
and ask them to
interfaces for
retroactively give me
storage
the
and
RAM.
expandability of graphics, as well as USB 4
Because they're
capabilities
actually
on the
really
boards.
good. Micro
These
Center
are
will do
designed for
that.
users
In
who want
fact,
the ultimate platform
that's how I got this
for
RAM.
enthusiast
I told them,
gaming
hey,
and
I
creator
bought the
performance.
9700X on launch
Moving into
day.
the
You
mainstream
guys
space
didn't,
of the
like, a
market,
few
our
days later, you guys
B850
offered the
platforms
RAM
are
bundle for
going to
free.
give users
Can you
a
guys give me the
very
RAM? Sure enough,
cost-effective
I
option
went there. They gave me
for
the RAM.
PCI
That was it.
Gen 5 storage options, and in some
Free
cases,
32
graphics
gigs of
expandability as
DDR5
well,
6000.
really hitting the right price points.
In fact,
for
that's the RAM we're
great
running this PC
performance
on
and
right now.
overclocking, but still doing so at the right price. And last but not least, the B840 motherboards, delivering a great solution for commercial users and system builders who are looking for AM5 socket compatibility with fewer options for overclocking, but still great performance out of the socket with the broad range of AMD processors that fit into those motherboards. AMD and ASUS have been
There it is.
an absolute
Man, he
mission
has
to
one literally
deliver
right behind
the
him.
best performance and capability to users for many, many years with our AM4.
That's
and
just
AM5
causing my OCD
desktop
to go
portfolio.
crazy. The fact that he has that
ASUS is the
X870
#1
Crosshair
market
hero
share
behind him,
leader
and he isn't
in
even using
motherboards,
it.
And I'm proud to
He's
partner
just
with
taunting
ASUS
the
to
crowd with
deliver
that thing
yet
just sitting
another
behind him,
generation of
ominously.
leadership products and leadership performance
Like,
for the world to enjoy.
dude, look behind you. There's something
Thank
behind
ASUS
you.
for your partnership, and we look forward to seeing
It's
your
like
800
the
series motherboards.
it's like the
in market
motherboard
for our
has some kind of
AM5
artificial
processors.
intelligence, and
Back to you.
it's awakening.
Next up, diving into the innovations of our networking
Oh, whoa, that
products.
voice. For a second, that announcer voice. I thought the motherboard was speaking.
Please join me in welcoming Sabrina Huang onto the stage.
It's a pleasure to be here at Gamescom to share some exciting
new
networking
Ace.
developments with you. Last year, we announced the world first Wi-Fi 7 ecosystem right here at Gamescom. Today, I have even more thrilling news.
Expensive
Microsoft
paperweight.
Wi-Fi 7 will be ready later this year. Our latest Wi-Fi 7 routers unleashes your Windows 11 PC gaming
Okay, Wi-Fi
experience.
7 is actually starting to show up now.
Introducing the ROG
Wi-Fi
Raptor
7 was
GTPE
the thing that came out
19000.
last year. On Intel 14th gen motherboards have Wi-Fi 7. I think most of them do. The Threadripper motherboards have Wi-Fi 7. But there were literally like no routers until now. Hold up, I don't want to get demonetized because they're playing some random song. I don't trust the song. There it is though. Look at all those antennas though. The Rapture GT what?
This next-level wireless router shuttles the barriers holding back your home network with beyond fast Wi-Fi 7 technology and the key.
No, Dragster. The USB 4 controllers are going to be awesome. They work seamlessly. Trying to think. The video. I have a video showing them already. Check out the video that I did recently on the ASUS USB 4 PCIe PCIe Gen 4 ASUS USB 4 add-in card that I added to my Threadripper motherboard. That card has the exact same ASM 4242 chipset, which is going to be featured in the X870 motherboards. And it works flawlessly. So that's the reason why there's been a delay. It's because it's all on as media, as far as I can tell. But no, those USB 4 controllers are awesome. Full PCIe tunneling support. Everything works. I've tested Thunderbolt 3 peripherals. I've tested Thunderbolt 4 peripherals. All the Thunderbolt devices work. I haven't had any issues.
Killer ROG gaming network. Today, we can offer you a complete Wi-Fi 7 ecosystem. Our motherboards, laptops, and mobile devices undergo rigorous testing to give you worry-free Wi-Fi 7 compatibility and performance up to 47% improved latency. But it's not just about roll speed. Wi-Fi 7 elevates your entire gaming experience. Crush network congestion.
Do people on desktop actually use Wi-Fi though?
Handheld gaming devices, or dive into cloud gaming. Make gaming devices your network's first priority. And it's all possible with ROG and Wi-Fi 7. ROG Gaming Network make it easy to get optimal network settings. It uses ASUS Guest Network Pro to give you a single gaming network SSIDs that features gaming technology with up to 20 game acceleration features. Simply connect your gaming devices.
All right, I started a poll
and
for
you're
the
ready
chat.
to go.
Do you use Wi-Fi with your
The
desktop?
GTPE 19000 is the ideal match for your gaming setup with its stunning new Aura lighting design. Through optical simulation, we created an optimized layout for the 8 side-emitting LEDs that sets off the laser-engraved heat plate to perfection. Now, let's talk about range. Can you guess how much network coverage has improved with ROG Wi-Fi 7 routers? This answer might surprise you. Our coverage has improved by up to 73% per router. compared to Wi-Fi 6E. So let's dig into the tech behind it. Our R&D team rigorously tested 11 antenna design angles to find a sweet spot for superior performance.
I think they're using...
And our latest antenna array cuts RF loss, boosts efficiency,
they're probably using the some Qualcomm-based
omnidirectional signals that leave no
chipset for the
room
Wi-Fi 7.
Wi-Fi 7
I wouldn't be surprised.
Gamers.
That's what all the enterprise vendors use, most of them.
Today, we're introducing the new ASUS
because it's one of the first ones that's available. So I'm pretty sure these ASUS routers are going to be using Qualcomm inside of them.
We tripled the wire capacity of this Wi-Fi 7 router with high bandwidth ports and increased its CPU power by 30% so that you can enjoy a next level 10 gigabit network loaded with advanced features. So, when you upgrade to Wi-Fi 7, what can you do with your current Wi-Fi 6 router? My suggestion: buy an ASUS or ROG Wi-Fi 7 extendable router so that you can use your old AMH compatible router as a mesh node in your new
this is actually a smart idea. This is a smart idea. I like where she's going with this because it's reducing e-waste to a degree by being able to repurpose your older router and use it as a mesh node so you can get better coverage. That is actually a good idea. Now, even though the older one won't support Wi-Fi 7, you can still mesh. The thing is, though, if you have like a 6E, well, see, if someone's on a Wi-Fi 6E router today, there really isn't much of a reason to go to Wi-Fi 7 because 6E and 7 are so similar in almost every way. But, yeah, this is an interesting idea. I don't think I've ever heard anyone ever come up with something like this or just, like, state this out loud when they're wanting you to buy the new router, but you might already have an older router.
Work. The range of your network will reach even farther. With the new RTB86U, your mesh network will be future-proof with Wi-Fi 7 and equipped with the powerful dual-band 7-stream mesh node. The RTB86U
but is the Broadcom Wi-Fi 7 chipset mass market ready?
For supremely fast
I know the Qualcomm one is. I don't know about the... Maybe Broadcom is also available.
With 4 2.5 gig ports with powerful VLANs. Your AI mesh network will also be feature-packed and extendable. Our latest ASUS WRT 5.0 interface puts you in command of VLANs, guest portals, VPN network security, and more. We're also unveiling a complete lineup of Wi-Fi 7 extendable routers. All of these are fully compatible with last-gen AI mesh routers so that you can create a powerful mesh network with incredible range and next-gen features. Maybe you have a Wi-Fi 6 laptop or desktop PC that you want to upgrade to Wi-Fi 7. No worries, we've got you covered. Our new Wi-Fi 7 ROG USB B92 tri-band USB adapter is your ticket to boosting your existing devices with the latest Wi-Fi technology. This small device supports both USB Type A and C connections.
That's a cool idea,
and it gives you access
but it seems so niche to have a USB dongle hanging off your laptop just to connect to the internet to get Wi-Fi 7 speed.
Get a competitive
I guess it beats buying a whole new laptop. But you could also just upgrade the Wi-Fi chipset inside the router.
Next-gen ASUS WRT
Although the antenna might be different.
Enriches and streamlines your network experience. And of course, you can rest assured our AI Mesh extendable and secure network is fully compatible across ASUS and ROG Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 routers. Last but not least, ROG is committed to delivering unmatched
up to 31
gaming
gig
for
wired
gamers,
capacity?
From the smallest details to the entire gaming ecosystem. Thank you for joining me today.
Quad band has very high potential throughput, but I feel like the range is probably really prone to interference. But the thing is, if it's 6 gigahertz, if it's in the 6 gigahertz band, it'll be really useful actually to avoid interference.
Up next, get ready to upgrade your setup with our latest peripherals and displays. Let us welcome
It's like they have the almost like they've got the Unreal Tournament announcer.
Hi everyone, I'm Ethan. It's great to meet you here at Gamescom. Today we got a bunch of new exciting stuff to share with you. But before getting there, I would like to give you a quick overview on what we have to offer
What is his title
the diverse
again?
gaming community.
Who
So
was this
our
guy?
focus for a long time has been on gamers within these key categories. And for each categories, we design our products to meet very different needs. For example, we have the ASUS and Chakram series for early adapters of the latest tech, or users who love to upgrade their own gear. And Scope, Impact, and Delta series for those who need a device to carry them through the day across the board, be it work or play. We also have the Ace Esports collection that meet the demands of pro players. But something is missing. See, people want an analog keyboard. I know we're a bit late to the party, but now here it is, folks.
What? I thought they had a keyboard.
The ROG Fortune Ace HFX, our first 65% keyboard that features ROG magnetic switches, supports 8K polling rate, and many other features that truly sets us apart from other analog keyboards. Starting off with its very compact form factor, the dimensions of the Fortune Ace HFX is akin to a 60% keyboard, which not only maximizes space for mouse movement, but also makes it easily portable. However, it houses a 65%
Wait, is it PS by
layout,
2?
retaining navigation keys like arrow keys and page up, page down keys for specific uses, such as rhythm games or content editing. But of course, the right form factor alone is not enough for gamers to outplay their opponents. To get the upper hand, you need speed. Our dev team has put in a lot of time and effort to optimize data transmission. With 8K polling rate, watch how click latency
what?
has been greatly reduced.
It's got 8K polling rate.
Speed is
This
also
can't be PS
invested
by
in the heart
2.
of this keyboard, which is ROG's first own branded magnetic switch. So what makes the
Wait,
analog
they have
switch
their
this
own
popular
magnetic
today
switch.
lies in two groundbreaking functionalities. First, Rapid Trigger allows competitive gamers to execute commands faster and react more efficiently in gameplay. Here, let us watch Rapid Trigger in motion. Rather than requiring the key to return to its original position, Rapid Trigger allows the key press to reset immediately upon release, which is crucial in fast-paced gaming.
Are mechanical keyboards actually better than membrane for competitive shooters? I always feel like mechanical keys are not actually as good as people say they are for competitive shooters, and that membranes were totally fine. Like the old, you know what I'm talking about? Like the old like $20 keyboards were totally fine for shooters.
Despite this, the physical travel of the key press still leaves room for
The one key switch that I wish would come back is Topre. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you guys, if you've ever used a Topre keyboard, this is actually, the keyboard I'm on right now, this is a Topre keyboard. And there has not been a Topre keyboard in so long.
arrow and input lag, especially when multiple inputs are activated and reset in rapid succession. So speed tap counters these by forcing an input reset and only actuating the last place input, which creates a huge advantage with games like CS2. The difference is illustrated in this clip here. With speed tap combined with rapid trigger, not only are your movements going to be much faster and cleaner, your weapons are also going to step back into full accuracy much quicker, hence allowing the player to pull off much more micro mechanics for better performance.
Was that guy using a mechanical keyboard? He lost. He was using a mechanical keyboard.
Today is that our competitors max out.
Was
on
she using the
performance,
analog
but
keyboard?
completely forgot about typing fill. Key wobble and rattling noises are big but common issues on analog keyboards. But not for the Fortune Ace HFX. We pre-loop the switches and narrow the gap between the top cover and the stem. This design gives you a stable, wobble-free typing experience with a consistent feel. Moreover, what further sets us apart is that we are the first to offer an analog switch keyboard with gas key mount structure. The 5-layer dampening foam makes the
gas
typing feel
key
and sound
mouse
perfect.
structure? What?
And let's
Gas
have a
key
listen.
mount structure? Wait, hold on. They said this is a competitor keyboard, but isn't this the keyboard that they're trying to sell? This physically looks like isn't this their keyboard? It says competitor 1, but this is their keyboard, isn't it? Oh no, this is their keyboard. No, this is another competitor. Whose keyboard is this? What? Their keyboard just sounds like a Cherry MX Brown. Their keyboard sounds like a Cherry MX Brown. What? Hold on a second. Competitor 1 looks like their keyboard. Okay, I don't know who this keyboard belongs to, but the first one literally looks like their ASUS keyboard. Why they call it Competitor 1? It looks just like their keyboard. That one also sounds like Cherry MX Brown. The first one sounds like some kind of weird, like, what is the first one? It sounds like, I don't know what that one is. Does anybody recognize that? What is that? What is that switch style? I can't recognize that switch. You know what this one sounds like? Competitor number 2 sounds like Romer G. This one sounds like a Romer G. I don't know what the first one was. Yeah, that one sounded like a Romer G. This one sounds like... This sounds like a Cooler Master Cherry MX Brown.
So we actually do more on the enhancement of user experience. We know the quickest way to adjust setting is directly through buttons and toggles. But this is what most 60% and 65% keyboards in the market lack. Therefore, we have incorporated a dedicated switch on the keyboard. This allows you to switch the rapid trigger mode on and off with just a simple flick. Since the highly sensitive key pressing may not be ideal for some users during regular typing. In addition, we have included a touchpad and function switch button for volume, lighting, media control, and actuation point adjustment. Of course,
you better hope you never accidentally pour some kind of liquid on there.
If you want, you can also preset the trigger point at home through...
It sounds more muted than the Brown. Well, you know what's weird, RK? Some Browns have a different sound signature than others. Like my Corsair K95, that's the keyboard that I use with the Tech Thursdays setup. That one sounds like higher pitched than the Cooler Master, the one that I currently don't use anymore. But the Cooler Master 10 keyless that I used to use extensively, that one had a lower tone. I don't know what it is. It's something about how, like, the physical weight of the keyboard also affects the sound. Like the keyboard tray and everything, you know, like that also does affect the sound.
Crate. Save the setting in the onboard memory.
Yeah, the padding under the keys make the difference. Yes. Yep.
And switch profile.
Because the Corsair keyboards, they don't have a lot of padding underneath. Like you literally can, you know what I'm talking about. Anyone who has seen a Corsair keyboard, the keys, actually the ASUS keyboard looks, the way the keys are arranged are kind of like the Corsair keyboard. Corsair was the first one to give you a keyboard that had that iconic look where the keys are like elevated above the frame and the body of the actual keyboard chassis.
Profiles with different trigger points by pressing the combo key for different scenarios.
Thawky sounds. The Thawky sound, that is what I'm using right now. This is a Real Force RGB Taupe, a Taupe keyboard. If you like the Thawky sound, that sound, that is Taupe. Taupe's got that sound, and that's what I'm all about. Karen Tosca with the sub. Thanks for the sub, much appreciated. Welcome to the channel. There's YouTube channels that just make you. Yeah, I know, man. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We could do that. I've got a whole bunch of random keyboards here. We could turn this channel into a keyboard only channel. I don't think people would like that though. Maybe the keyboard enthusiasts would. But we got a Taupe keyboard. We're using a Taupe keyboard with an LG 32-inch 4K OLED. And then right over there, where my Tech Thursday setup is, to the left of me, is the Corsair K95 Cherry MX Brown. And then I also have a Logitech. My Threadripper PC uses a Logitech, what what is the model number? It's the Logitech Orion whatever. It's the one that has the Omron Roamer G switches. Those are some high-end switches, but a lot of people don't really like the feel of those. That's actually, fun fact, that keyboard that I use with Threadripper is the exact same keyboard that Yoshi P, the producer of Final Fantasy XIV, uses as his daily driver. Just wanted to throw that out. Just random fact.
On top of all the key tech, we have added a keyboard cover and dual USB-C port for better cable routing. And that's a wrap for the Fortune Ace HFX, our first analog keyboard. For the mouse, our offerings for competitive players have also expanded. With the ROG Harp Ace unveiled at the very beginning of 2023, our esports-oriented Ace collection is born. And since then, we have launched several standard.
Oh, here come the mice. Here come the mice. But see, my problem with mice, I'm way too spoiled. I'm way too spoiled by the MMO mouse. See this right here? With the buttons on the side. I'm too spoiled by this style of keyboard that I can't, I don't know, man. For me to switch away from the MMO mouse, that's going to be hard. Because going to one of these, like, I don't know. It's going to be tough. This is the G600. G910. Are you talking about the keyboard, RK? The Logitech Orion something. Hold on, what was the name of that keyboard? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Man, you guys are going to make me end up doing a bunch of keyboard videos on this channel. I was not planning on doing that, but that's... So, a Logitech G910. Yes, the G910 Orion Spectrum RGB. That is what I use on my workstation PC. Because, I don't know, man. There's something about Roamer G. Roamer G, so for those that don't know what we're talking about, Logitech, the G910 from Logitech features a very special key. Now, a lot of people don't like the feel and the sound of the Roamer G. It is a Japanese key switch made by Omron, and it is very high-end. And those things can almost never break down because years ago, Linus from Linus Tech Tips went to the Omron factory in Japan, and he has a whole video that shows how that key switch is designed and manufactured. And man, that thing is like... That is like the most robust key switch I have ever seen. So, yeah, that thing is the workhorse keyboard. That's why it's with Threadripper. It's never going to break down. Like, that keyboard's pretty much going to last forever. The LEDs on that are going to burn out before the keys actually fail.
Each product creating buzz and conversation within the community. But among the discussion, there is always a steady portion of gamers calling out for a smaller size.
And the funny thing is I bought that keyboard, and it was an impulse buy at a Best Buy as a clearance, an on-sale clearance item. It was the last one in the store. And I was like, oh, it's that one keyboard that Linus did the video about years ago. I was like, okay, I'm just going to grab that.
Competitive mouse. In response to that, next up, we have the ROG
I think it's discontinued now.
The Mini inherits all the profile DNA from the original Harp Ace, but is shorter in length while maintaining a similar width in the midsection. Its refined size isn't just about weight reduction or players with smaller hands. It's about accommodating different grip style.
Okay, hold on. Look at this. Look how close he's sitting to the screen. This is why true competitive gamers play on the lowest graphics settings at the lowest resolution, and that's why they don't care about 27-inch and 32-inch monitors. They want 24-inch or at most, at the biggest size possible, would be a 24-inch. That is why I keep telling you guys 1440p at 24, technically 23.8 inches is the ideal size for a competitive gaming monitor. So, man, I really want to see like a 24-inch 1440p OLED, 480 hertz. Like, that would be perfect. For this guy right here, this competitive gamer, he needs that monitor that I'm talking about. 24-inch, 1440p, 480 hertz OLED.
We see a good number of them preferring smaller size mice.
Because look, he's sitting so close to the screen, and the screen looks kind of large, like wide. So how is his peripheral vision able to see the top left and right of that screen, or the bottom left and right of that screen?
To execute better control, especially those who play by the fingertip grip. Because a shorter...
He's sitting so close to the screen that notice how his right hand is like under the bezel of the monitor. That gives you an idea of how close he's sitting to the monitor. He needs a voucher for his chiropractor? What? Oh, well, he's gonna develop a bad case of gamer neck. You can tell he's gonna develop gamer neck. Look, he's already developing gamer neck. Look at how the shoulders are like forward. They're like rolled forward, and the neck is like, it's got that gamer neck. You know what I'm talking about? Look at the keyboard, man. Look at the angle on that keyboard.
In constant contact with the palm, allowing them to carry out precise...
How can he see the screen? Look, he's sitting so close to the screen. How can he see like like his peripheral vision? The monitor is too big. The monitor is physically too large for this setup. This is why I'm telling you guys, it's all about the highest resolution at the smallest screen size possible.
Micro movements. Size aside, it has been involved with the latest technology, including the ROG endpoint
42,000
processor, the ROG
DPI,
optical micro switch, and ROG Speed Nova wireless technology. On top of which, you can also boost up to 8K ripple rate. The Mini features a smooth, matte appearance with a new coating, giving gamers who prefer a silky feel an additional option to pick from over the gritty finish of the standard hard base. This new coating is also made to provide enough friction to ensure a firm grip.
So
the hard base Mini has
the
been
Mini is
tested
smooth,
and
but
proven
the
to be
regular
ready for
one is
competition
not?
by world-renowned esports pros, who have remarked on how the shape and the clicks are
Who's
just right for
JD
them.
Gaming?
And
JD
that's
is
the
in
hard
what?
base
Judgment
Mini
Dragon from
a new choice
Yu-Gi-Oh?
of gear coming to the market
What is
very
this,
soon.
Lightsworns?
I would also like to use this opportunity to deliver exciting news. These moments of outplay you see here are brought to us by Max Mazanov, aka
Someone says
Dino
JD, they're obviously
winner
talking
of
about
the
Judgment
Valorant
Dragon.
Champion 2023, and the new ambassador of ROG Gaming Gear.
All right, we got almost all the votes
We are
are
very
in.
glad
We're
to
gonna
have
end the
you here
poll.
with us today. Hi, Max.
Hey Ethan, thanks for
Alright,
having
so
me. It's great to be able to work with a brand that
two-thirds
shows some
of you
serious
don't
commitment
use
in
Wi-Fi with the
delivering
desktop.
top-tier gear for competitive players like
I'm
myself.
actually surprised it's
And
that
I'm looking
low. I
forward
thought
to
it would
the
be higher. I thought it'd be like
possibilities beyond the
80% or
store. But
more.
yeah, I'm really excited about becoming a part of Team ROG.
Thank you, Max. So as part of Team ROG, Demon One will join a community of esports athletes who influence ROG's gaming peripherals by testing new products and giving valuable feedback based on his insight as a top player. Last but not least, a new gaming headset to complete our lineup. I give you the ROG Pelta. This headset is designed for those who identify as gamers to the very core. These people game both when they are indoors and on the go. So naturally, the ROG Pelta is lightweight.
Wait, hold on. What is
offers
this?
great wireless
What is this?
connectivity.
What is this supposed to be depicting? Wireless, number one, wireless freedom. And then it shows somebody wearing wireless headphones and using what looks like either a smartphone or some kind of handheld gaming device. Then, lightweight design. Then, long battery life. And it shows somebody using what looks like a desktop keyboard. So why would battery life matter? And what is this supposed to be? Casual gamer on the right, hardcore on the left, or casual on the left, hardcore on the right?
And has an
Does that mean that the girl on the left is using a tough motherboard, and this dude over here, the competitive gamer, is using the Strix E-E? Like, what is this? Is there some
passive
kind of hidden
battery life.
message here?
But while
those who
supporting a
dare.
much more lifestyle appearance, there's no mistaking the gamer in the wild with the ROG Slash, ROG pattern, and RGB lighting design.
Wait. What did he just
And
say?
of
The
course-
gamer in the wild? Did he just say the gamer in the wild? Mistaking the gamer in the wild? What? What is it? This is like Pokemon Go. A wild gamer appeared? No mistaking the gamer in the wild with the ROG bag? What? A wild gamer appeared. This dude in the middle is so hardcore gamer. He's literally sitting on a skateboard in the middle of Manhattan.
Slash RGB pattern and RGB lighting design. And of course, for gamers to wear it all day, it has to be comfortable. So
Are
we
those
added a
real
detachable
gamers?
elastic band
Hold on,
to
is this
our
supposed to be a
ROG headset
multi-choice
for the very
question?
first
Which
time.
one of these is the
With
real
3
hardcore
levels
gamer?
of adjustability to help every gamer find their right fit. Plus a contour mesh ear cushion to
He
keep
just
the
said
ears
there's
nice
no
and cool.
mistaking the gamer in the wild.
Now,
Wait, hold on a
sound
second.
quality
Wait
is the
on,
key
hold
to
on,
keep
hold on,
beat
hold on, hold
gamers
on,
out
hold on,
live pattern.
hold on. No mistaking gamers in the wild. So if you see people who look like these 4 individuals, you know they're a hardcore gamer. You just know. You just know instinctively that that is what a hardcore gamer looks like. That's how they look. They ride a bicycle and wear a sports coat and business shoes and white dress socks. And they ride a bicycle with a helmet and they have an ROG backpack. That's how you can tell. No mistaking a true hardcore gamer. That's exactly what they look like. They look exactly like these people.
And RGB lighting design. And of course, for gamers to wear it all day, it has to be
And
comfortable.
this must be
So
like,
we
which
added
one
a
of these is the
detachable
true
elastic
gamer
band to
right
our
here?
ROG headset for the very first time.
Because
With
none
3
of those
levels of
individuals look anything
adjustability to
like
help
what
every
he
gamer
just said,
find
how to
their right
recognize a
fit.
gamer in the
Plus a
wild.
contour mesh ear cushion to keep the ears nice and cool. Now, sound quality is the key to every headset. We are very specific
They must
with
have been
how
casual
we tune the
gamers.
ROG Pelta. First, we are able to deliver superior high-risk acoustic through ROG's own branded diaphragm drivers, plated with titanium to bring out crisp and detailed triples. Next, to refine the sound signature so it sounds much more natural, we took inspiration from the Harman Curve. Harman Curve is based on extensive research and listener preference to be the most widely accepted standard for headphone frequency response due to its balanced and pleasing audio. So our dev team used the natural sounding Harman Curve as a base and fine-tuned it to bring life into every sound you hear. Now every action, footstep, and
The
intense
beryllium for the
gunshot is going
tweeters.
to feel incredibly lifelike.
Hold on, so the Harman curve is one where it kills off the frequencies after like 12,000 kilohertz or 12 kilohertz. The thing is, the human ear can hear up to 16, I want to say it's like 16 kilohertz. But as you get older, your hearing at the upper range degrades. So it's like your ears are like OLED screens. They get burn in. So as you get older, your ears get burn in, and your ability to hear like 16 kilohertz, 14 kilohertz, 15 kilohertz, those type of sounds, it diminishes. So that's the reason why I think some individuals, they can find those really high frequencies irritating to listen to. And that's why a lot of these headphones have what's called this Harman curve, where essentially what they do is they have a low pass filter where the driver basically can't produce those sounds. You know, like it literally mutes those sounds. It cut off the sounds above like 12 kilohertz or so. 20 kilohertz? Wait, humans? I know like infant children can hear up to 20 kilohertz. I don't know if adults can hear around 20 kilohertz, because dogs and cats can hear 20 kilohertz. Yeah, that's why a dog whistle works the way it works, because its frequency is somewhere up there around like 20K or something.
And of course, gamers with preferences can always customize sound through EQ. So to hear your enemies come in is not enough. You got to hear your teammates well too.
Yeah, but the thing is, the tests that they do, like if you go get your hearing tested, they only test you up to 8 kilohertz. You have to request a specialized test for them to go above 8 kilohertz, because they typically don't test above 8,000.
The 10mm super wideband microphone on the ROG Pelta captures and preserves every detail of
Which I always found kind of weird, because what that implies is that if ENT specialists only test up to 8,000 and you pass with flying colors up to 8,000, then they'll say you have no hearing loss. But yet, if they were to test somebody up to 16 kilohertz, they might have varying results, which indicates some degree of hearing loss, whether that's age-related hearing loss or actual hearing damage. That's something that I noticed. Like medical professionals typically don't test above 8,000.
Your voice authentically. And now let's see how it differs from regular
Just like how I haven't tested DDR5 above 8,000.
headset microphone.
Whoa, dude, what is this? Is this guy trying to like damage our hearing? Is he trying to damage our hearing? We were just talking about like hearing loss and being able to hear 16 kilohertz. Then we have some rando here, like shrieking into his microphone. This sounds awful. Wait, what are we listening to? Like, what is this supposed to be? Is this supposed to be an advertisement for the headset? That microphone quality sounds awful. Oh, that was another brand? Or wait, what?
I know what I'm doing. 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 I know what I'm doing.
What is
So do you hear the difference? With this boom mic, your teammates will now finally be able to understand what you are raging about. And that's it for the ROG Peltop, a gaming headset perfect for just about everything.
I think they did a great job in not selling me a new headset. I don't know what I was listening to just now. I don't know what that was.
To carry you throughout the day. And that's all for our new peripherals, all coming in shops by early Q4 this year. As for the peripherals unveiled during Computex,
The Delta 2, ROG Delta 2. I'm going to forget about the others. I'm only going to remember the ROG Delta 2, even though I don't need a gaming headset. I don't understand what I just watched, but I'll never forget the name of this product. ROG Delta 2. I'll never buy it, but...
Q3, so be on the lookout. Now, what gamers are constantly on the lookout for is that perfect gaming setup. And to get there, gear upgrade
This is such a great show, man.
Just check out these gaming rooms. The one thing in common, probably also the first thing you see, is the monitors. All of them are key to setting the vibes of the space, and of course, the overall experience. For over a decade, ROG has dominated the gaming monitor market. With sales growing at the astounding rate of 25% year over year, the message is clear. Gamers are always in pursuit of the ultimate setup.
Okay, now they're talking about something that actually is a cool thing to talk
on
about.
Top of
monitors.
Industry-leading hardware, we are making experience customization much easier with your new monitor control app. Introducing Display Widget Center. With it, you can now create custom profiles, keyboard shortcuts, and even let AI optimize your display, all without the hassle of fiddling with the OSD.
Yeah, I know
So
what I'm doing.
if you want a specific display mode for different scenarios? Set it up with App Tweaker and enjoy your customized
There'll probably be a
display
quiz
mode for
later.
each app.
What was the name of the I know what I'm
But not
doing
sure
headset?
what you like? Leave it to the AI visual feature to auto-detect what is on screen and switch to the best default or your own presets. Switching to another hot topic, OLED monitors.
Oh, here we go, OLED.
Gaming in 2022.
Everybody's favorite
At the
topic.
forefront of this revolution. And we all know that for OLED, lighting condition matters. To adapt to different lighting environments and viewing preference, we
Whoa, they've got a glossy W OLED? So the one that I'm aware of, I know about their W OLED anti-glare and their semi-glossy QD OLED.
at ROG over the widest
I have not seen their glossy W OLED.
range of 27-inch OLED panels in the market. We got WOLED that are anti-glare or glossy, as well as semi-glossy QD OLEDs. Today we are adding more into the mix. Two 27-inch QHD OLED gaming monitors that will take your gameplay to the next level. First up, meet the ROG Swift OLED PG27 AQDP.
Oh, he's got music playing. He's got music playing. Okay, hold up. What did he say? The QCDP? Oh yeah, QCDP. The Q means 1440p. Because if it said UCDP, it would be 4K. The U indicates 4K. For ultra. Is it ultra high definition? Yeah. Okay. So that's.
This absolute S-tier beast is the world's first.
Oh, whoa! World's first 1440p, 480 hertz OLED with ELMB OLED anti-flicker. That is useful if you want to use something like FreeSync or G-Sync. And then WOLED anti-glare. Oh, so this one is the non-glossy. Which actually, believe it or not, a lot of people like glossy on OLED because they think it makes the colors look better. I don't know, man. It depends on your setup. I personally think matte screens are better, but that's definitely personal preference.
1440p.
If it's a TV, then glossy all the way. But if it's like a monitor for productivity and gaming, I think anti-glare is better.
80 Hz OLED gaming monitor. Clarity and comfort are unmatched on this monitor because apart from being equipped with our ELMB and OLED anti-flicker tech, we have also upgraded the
glossy with the raging spit. Yeah, I know, right? Like, see, that's why, yeah.
anti-glare WOLED panel with a new sub-pixel layout.
Especially because, like, if you're on a glossy monitor, you typically have to keep the lights in your room dark. Like, for me, glossy will not work because I literally have a light back here, and if this was a glossy OLED, there will be this annoying glare on the screen right now. So I'm like, no, that's a no-go. That's a deal breaker in terms of the glossy.
For better text definition. It also supports a fresh look with a new translucent back.
My last stream was mislabeled.
Design that is sure to turn heads. So if speed and a compact design is more your thing, then we present to you the ROG Strix OLED XG27 ACDNG. This 360 Hz.
Oh, QD OLED on 360 Hz. Wait a minute. So the WOLED can do 480. That makes sense because, you know, that's the LG panel. So this one's the Samsung.
QD OLED monitor is the ultimate package for competitive gaming and also features dynamic brightness boost to increase the brightness level on lower APLs. Plus, with its USB-C power delivery, you can rapidly charge up your phone during your epic gaming sessions and not worry about it getting overheated. It is 30% better in heat dissipation than competitors thanks to its improved custom heatsink design. So every ROG OLED monitor undergoes factory calibration to ensure precise color reproduction. We also unlock adjustable HDR settings.
Yeah, that is a huge jump. They literally, like, esports went from, it's like, if this is an Age of Empires 2 game, esports went from being in the Dark Ages on TN to, like, they just skipped the Feudal Age and the Castle Age and went straight to the Imperial Age. They literally jumped all the way to Endgame before the game even started.
Temperature, brightness, saturation, and more. OLED burning will now be a thing of the past, because apart from advanced cooling, we now have OLED Care Plus, bringing to you a suite of advanced OLED settings, all easily managed through our display widget center. On top of these, we have a 3-year warranty to back you up. All these exciting features, including adjustable HDR, OLED Care Plus, and AI Visual, are not limited to our new models and will be available on other ROG models.
Yeah, next year. So if you're thinking about getting an OLED, if you're somebody who wants a 27-inch 4K OLED, those are coming next year. At the very least, we're getting QD OLED from Samsung in the 27-inch form factor at 4K resolution sometime next year. And then for the WOLED, I don't know if it's going to be WOLED, but currently LG is doing feasibility studies to determine if they want to manufacture a 27-inch 4K OLED next year. But if they do, it'll definitely be probably the end of next year. So we're more than a year away from LG bringing 27-inch 4K OLED. But yeah, man, 27 4K. That is, like, in my opinion, that is end game right there. Because I don't know what they're gonna do with monitors once you bring, because if you look at all monitors, the price point on monitors goes down. significantly after 4K for that panel technology reaches 27 inches. So we're not there yet. We're still a year away from that happening. But once that happens, that means that that's going to open up the floodgates for the OLED market, because what it means is when 4K reaches 27 inch, that means the price of OLED will start coming down significantly, and I think that's when you're going to see a lot more mass market adoption, at least in the PC space, in the PC gaming crowd.
Monitors soon. So there you have it. Our two.
And the technology also is hitting maturity where he's just talking about, like, you don't have to worry about burn-in anymore because the algorithms that the monitor firmware uses prevents that. They also have better cooling technology. They got bigger heat sinks in the monitor now, so that it keeps the temperature of the monitor lower than the first generation and the second generation OLEDs. So that's another reason why the burn-in isn't really a problem. I'll say this about people who are worried about burn-in on OLED. It is no different from burn-in on old CRT displays, because if you guys remember, CRTs can actually suffer from burn-in as well, and OLEDs are kind of like that. So just think of it that way. VA's not new. VA's been around for like at least 15 years. I have a VA. I've got two VA monitors from 2007. They're Lenovo ThinkVision 22-inch WUXGA 60 hertz VA panels. I also have a pair of BenQ VA panels. I don't have those anymore, but no, VA is not new, man. VA has been around for a long time. That's not new. VA is not new at all.
Incredible high refresh rate ROG OLED monitors. The ROG Swift OLED PG27 is available for pre-order tomorrow with an MSRP targeted at...
My thing with VA, it depends on the VA implementation. Like if the panel can either be really good VA or it can be really bad VA. I've experienced both. Because if you have a bad VA panel, it suffers from something called black crush. Anyone who knows anything about monitors knows what I'm talking about when I say if a monitor has a bad case of black crush, then it's not a good monitor for like gaming. So TN is end of life. I don't know if TN's gonna be end of life. I think TN's always gonna be more of the budget end of the market, because you can still, like, it's easy to manufacture. It's a very mature technology. It's very, very cheap.
At $9.99 USD.
Yeah, until they can make $100. Well, I don't know about $100. I think TN will still be around for a very long time, though, because TN will still be used in enterprise, professional manufacturing. You know, places where you have like factories running. The type of displays that are in there are definitely going to be TN because they're such a mature technology. You don't have to worry about reliability. It's like, yeah, no, they'll still be around, but in a different capacity.
And the ROG Strix OLED X327 will be arriving in early Q4. Apart from our OLED monitors, I got another surprise in the bag for you. Our new ROG Swift 360Hz PG27 AQNR, an ultra-fast IPS monitor with NVIDIA G-Sync Pulsar, will be coming to you soon in Q4, so stay tuned. And that's a wrap for our new peripherals and monitors. I'll hand it back to you for some news that the gaming community would definitely love. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ethan. As well as having a great portfolio of new products to show.
How come Yulin is the only one that got a product, like a job title? I don't know what the other people that presented, like what their role in the company was. I just know that they were just told to present stuff. I'm assuming they're product managers of the products that they talked about. But this guy is the dude for the motherboards.
Show you today. We have also collaborated with AMD and Focus to create an exclusive Space Marine 2 graphics card for the community. This is a truly amazing game that we're really excited about, and we know fans of the originals are gonna love it. We're happy to unveil the card today in all of its glory.
Oh wait, this probably has some copyright music. Hold on, I gotta mute it, unfortunately. Okay, ASUS Cross Warhammer 40K. Space Marine 2. This game is probably going to be more fun. I don't know. I think this game is going to dethrone Helldivers 2 as like the next, what do you even call that genre? Like survival shooter, survival third-person shooter. I think Warhammer is going to be awesome. Like I will definitely be playing this game. I don't play a lot of shooters, but this one I will play. So what is this? Oh, this is a collaboration. They made like a limited edition graphics card for Warhammer. That's cool. Looter shooter. Oh, is this a looter shooter? It looks like it's got that Space Marine color scheme. I always think Captain America when I see that blue and the red stripes like that. This game is coming out, I think, in a few weeks.
What an amazing card. The card is based on the Tough Gaming Radeon 7900 XTX, and the design elements are inspired by the lead character.
Giveaway starts August 23rd.
Of the game, Titus. 20 of these cards have been exclusively made to give away to gamers and Warhammer fans. Check out the Warhammer landing page QR code for more details about how to win the cards and the builds. And that's all for ROG.
He said there's only, wait, he said there's only 20 of those total?
We hope you enjoy the show.
There's only 20 of those graphics cards total. For real? There's only 20? The only way to get them... Okay, well, that was the whole show. The only way to get those is through the... Wow, okay. Huh, interesting. So you have to get it through a giveaway. So let's look at this motherboard here. So the ROG Crosshair, this is the X870E. It has Wi-Fi 7, it has USB 4, it has a bunch of M.2, Gen 5, it has the postcode, basically has everything. I mean, it's not really going to be lacking in any particular feature considering it's the flagship motherboard. 19 will be on eBay for $3,000 in a month. Yeah, graphics cards like those are definitely collector items. So this is it. They did say that the memory mounting mechanism is using an ASUS patented technology. So I wonder if that will help with running 4 sticks of memory at higher speeds. I feel like they didn't devote a lot of time to that, but that could be like the one thing that actually differentiates this motherboard from the older ones. So advanced overclocking tools, 5 is the magic number. 3 onboard M.2 Gen 5 slots and 2 PCI 4.0 M.2 slots. All with substantial cooling solutions, lets you take advantage of the fastest storage drives on the market. Okay. So they've got some T-Force there on display. Here we go. This motherboard's memory support is truly special. It's one of the very first to feature the revolutionary NitroPath DRAM technology. That's what they were saying. The patented technology that ASUS came up with is called NitroPath DRAM technology. This revolutionary DRAM slot design caters to enthusiasts chasing the highest memory overclocks by reducing noise interference via shorter gold finger pins and optimized single pathways within the motherboard. The optimized layout ensures faster data transfers between the DRAM and CPU, maximizing system overall. Okay, so this could, in theory, help with the 4 sticks of memory running at higher speeds, because it reduces noise. That's actually that could be a really good feature, actually. 400 megatransfers per second. What? 100 per slot. Where does it say that? They said that they're able to get 400 megatransfers higher than what they could get on the older motherboards. So, for example, if they were running 8,000 before, with this one they can do 8,400. If you fill the top M.2 slots, it drops the PCIe from X16 to X8. Gen 5. Oh. Yeah, we can probably derive the block diagram for this board, assuming all the specs are listed. So we have, it looks like there's an X16, and then this one right here, this second PCIe slot is either going to be, it could either be an X4, which is going to share bandwidth with one of the M.2 drives, or it is an X8 slot that shares with the top PCIe slot. So you could do like Crossfire, like dual GPU, for example. When you're ready to set up your desktop for next level wireless, so they got Wi-Fi 7, the Q antenna. Let's see. Okay, USB 4 is on there. A lot of this we've talked about, the theoreticals behind all of this. So quick charge up to 60 watts, even on the front panel connector. Easy to build. Okay, so it has the button thing for the M.2. It has the button thing for the graphics card. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. These are the specs. So, up to 192 gigs of DDR5, 2 PCIe X16 Gen 5 that either run at the top one at X16 lanes or the top one and the bottom one running at X8. Okay, so that means the second slot is like an old school multi-GPU slot where it takes half the lanes from the top card so that you can run like full X8 on the second slot. And then it says or X8, X4, X4. That's interesting. So why is this here? Because it only has 2 PCIe slots. So where's that X4, X4 coming from? Unless that's a mistype, or it's what Nero was saying, and they're referring to a different setup where some of the M.2 drive slots are using lanes from the top slot to pull this off. I'm not sure what this means. Otherwise, it's like top slot is X8, and second slot is X4, and then something else has 4 lanes or something. I'm not sure what that's referring to. 3 M.2 PCIe 5.0. Those are 4 lanes each. So that means that is... Wow, that's 12 lanes. So that exceeds the total number on the chipset for that, because the graphics take 16. There's 24 total. So if you use 16 for graphics, that means you only have 8 PCIe 5 lanes left. And they're saying there's 3. So yeah, Nero, you're right. There is going to be some sharing of lanes with the graphics card slot. There has to be, because you normally can't do more than 2 Gen 5 drives without running into lanes. So 4 of these lanes, at the very least 4. Okay, so what that means is probably one of these M.2 drives is sharing lanes. So that means the top slot runs at X8, the second slot runs at X4, and the last 4 listed here goes to the third Gen 5 SSD. And then we have this, we have 2 Gen 4. These are off the chipset. These are going to be chipset. Slim SAS. One of these is connected to the primary chipset. The other one is connected to the secondary chipset. Because remember, X870E is dual chipset. Slim SAS connector. Wait, Slim SAS. Oh, they have. Whoa, they have one of these. Did they show a picture of that? I don't know if anyone's going to actually use this. It's surprising to see that on this board. Yeah, we need to draw the diagram. We're going to have to draw the diagram because this is a very interesting board. Wi-Fi 7, that takes 1 lane. 1 lane goes to... Oh, they got dual NIC. They have an Intel 2.5 gig, and then they have a Realtek 5 gig. Wi-Fi 7 takes one lane, Intel takes one lane for the 2.5, and Realtek also only needs one lane. You only need one lane of PCI Gen 3 to pull off 5 gigabit Ethernet speeds. So this is 1 Gen 3, 2 Gen 3, 3 Gen 3. So this only takes up like 3 lanes of Gen 3 for all of these. And then, okay, so then that's there. And then we have, this takes, so this is the ASM 4242, I was about to say Thunderbolt 4, USB 4 chipset. So this takes 4 lanes of PCI Gen 4, which means there's probably some resource sharing between one of these Gen 4 M.2s and this Slim SAS connector. I think there's some sharing here, and there's definitely some sharing here. So they're gonna, in order for it to work, they're gonna have to use sharing. This takes dedicated lanes. I don't think they can wire that to anything else. You can drive 8K monitors off of your integrated graphics using the 40 gig USB 4 ports. So this supports 8K off of integrated graphics on 2 8K monitors. Okay, then we got 8 USB 10 gig. Okay, that's good. 20 gigabit. Okay, that's probably off the chipset. Another one for the front panel. Another 5 gig. Those are your standard A-type. So these are the keyboard and mouse and all that stuff. Oh, that's front I/O. So the keyboard and mouse goes on here somewhere. And then we got 3, okay, nobody cares, that's RGB. And then we have all this stuff. Okay, so that's basically it. It sounds like there is going to be some caveats with this board because it's what I call over-provisioned. It is over-subscribed. It has more connectivity than the platform actually allows for natively. So there's going to be some resource sharing to make this work. Is the Slim SAS that connector under the 24 pin? Probably. Go back up here. No. This, if you're asking if it's this, no. This is a PC, this looks like a PCIe 8 pin. Yeah, that looks, well, I'm not sure what that looks like an EPS 12 volt or a PCI, supplemental PCIe 8 pin. And then this is the USB 3.2. Yeah, this is the USB 3.2 front header connector for the case. So they don't actually show the Slim SAS. It's right here. It's blurred out from the photo, but it's this. So you got, looks like 4 SATA. You got 4 SATA here. Then you have a Slim SAS SATA right there. Then you have your traditional USB 3.0 connector right there. So that's where they are. It looks like there's another 3.1 or 3.2 Gen 2 connector right down here. So it does actually have 2 of them. Yes, you're right. This thing is for those 40 gigabit USB on the back to support the 60 watt charging. In fact, 8 pin is kind of overkill for that. You don't actually need 8 pin. You could use a 6 pin. Well, actually, no. I take that back. Yeah, because if somebody plugs in 2 devices, both pulling 60, that's 120 watts. So yeah, no, you would need an 8 pin for that. Because a single 6 pin is only 75 watts. Yeah, and it looks like, there we go, 40 gig with DisplayPort, 40 gig with DisplayPort, and then you have an HDMI. So you can literally drive 3 or more monitors off of the integrated graphics on a Ryzen 9000 CPU. So if somebody wanted to use this as like not a gaming PC, but they wanted to use this as like some kind of HPC or some weird, like home server thing, and they needed a lot of connectivity, but they wanted to use like triple monitors with this for whatever reason. You could literally do triple monitors. You can even do like dual 8K monitors plus like a 4K monitor off of the integrated graphics. So that is pretty wild that it has that kind of display support on the integrated graphics. You can also daisy chain monitors off of the 40 gig USB 4. See, a lot of people are always like, well, why are you always talking about USB 4? It's clear to me when someone asks that question that they don't actually know what USB 4 can allow them to do. It's pretty wild what you can do with USB 4. All the things that you can do with Thunderbolt, you can do with USB 4. Day trader. Yeah. That's an excellent use case. You don't need a GPU for that. But you need a lot of monitors. Potentially. You have 6 screens hooked up to the PC. The 4080 only has 5 ports. What kind of 4080 has 5 ports? Most of them only have 4. So I have to switch through the receiver. Yeah, this is a super high-end board. This is going to be an expensive board, though. Like, keep in mind, this motherboard is probably going to be $700. So, I'm setting expectations now because this is going to be an expensive motherboard. We're looking at a $700 motherboard. I mean, if ASUS wants to do an additional ASUS tax, they'll make it $750, $749. I don't think they're going to do that, though. I think it's going to be $699. Somewhere around there. It should be around $700. No, it's not going to be $1,000 because the only way it could be $1,000 is if it had the expander card and some other stuff. It would have to come with more accessories. Like it would have to come with a remote control thing. It would have to come with the overclocking. You know what I'm talking about? The remote control. Literally the remote control for the motherboard. I don't see the remote control in here. So this is not a $1,000 motherboard. There's no way this is a $1,000. It's missing too many gimmicks. It doesn't have all the gimmicks that the Extreme has. The Crosshair Extreme is the $1,000 motherboard. This is not the Crosshair Extreme. This is the Crosshair Hero. Keep that in mind. So this is basically, to use a Dragon Ball Z reference, this is like a Super Saiyan 3. But if we're talking Crosshair Extreme, that's like Super Saiyan Blue. Like that's even beyond the Super Saiyan 3. So we're not even at that level when we're looking at this board. So last hero included the expander card. Okay. Yeah, so this could come with the expander card, but it's still not going to be, even with the expander card, it's not going to be $1,000. So, okay, that is this one. Actually, they do have the product page out now. So we can actually draw the motherboard diagram. Because they don't have the support page, so I can't look in the manual to see if they have the block diagram. But ASUS typically doesn't provide the block diagram for their motherboards anyway. So we're just going to have to derive it from the specs. Okay, so we're going to have to draw this out. So this is going to have paint in it. This stream actually has paint in it. Alright. I'm going to have to move... Well, let's see. Let me move... I'll have to move the chat over here, I guess. Okay. Let me start first. So, it still has the AM5 socket. It has dual chipset. So there's 2 of them. There's going to be the uplink like this, and I'm going to have PCI 5, And I guess we'll have to do they have PCI 4? They don't have any PCI 4. PCI 4, PCI 3, PCI 4, PCI 3. So it is possible to derive every motherboard if you understand the fundamentals of the chipset. That's why it's very important to know the chipset and the CPU socket capability. So here we have a total of 24 PCIe 5.0 lanes available for whatever. And then we have 4 PCIe 4.0, and then we have 4 PCIe 3.0, and then down here we have 8 PCIe 4.0 and then 4 PCIe 3.0. So these are the total lane counts. So if you add all these lanes together, you get the total lane count of what an X870E motherboard offers. Now, if we want to create an X870 motherboard, for every X870 motherboard, you simply delete this and this. And now you have X870. X870 has 24 CPU Gen 5 lanes, 8 Gen 4 lanes, and 4 Gen 3 lanes. That is the total lane count for X870. But X870E has these additional lanes because of the second chipset. So now, okay, so the first thing it said was, all right, let's go back to the page again. The first thing it says is, oh wow, it says that it supports up to 8200 plus MT megatransfers per second on Ryzen 9000. Then it says 8600 plus MT on Ryzen 8000, and then 8000 plus on Ryzen 7000. So that implies that Zen 5 does have a slightly better, more mature memory controller, even though the I/O die is the same as what's on the 7000 series. Otherwise, these numbers shouldn't be different. They should just be exactly the same. It supports ECC memory as well. That's interesting. Okay, that's good. Nitro path DRAM technology. Do all AM5 CPUs have 24 lanes, including 8000 series? That's a good question. I gotta think about that. I'm not actually sure if... Yeah, I'm not sure if 8000 has all the same lane counts. The chipset will provide whatever lanes, but yeah, we're talking about CPU lanes. Yeah, I don't actually know. I haven't done a lot of content regarding 8000 series. One thing that is different, though, 8000 has a different... You guys may have noticed, well, why does 8000 have a higher upper bound than 9000? Well, remember, 9000 uses the same I/O die as 7000. Whereas 8000 is a monolithic die that has a different memory controller. So the 8000 one might actually have a newer, better memory controller on the APU. Yes, you're correct. They are monolithic SoCs on 8000. So that is actually interesting that 8000 technically has the highest memory clocks are attainable on 8000, which means that you know what's cool about that is the fact that 8000 has the strong integrated 780M. The integrated GPU benefits from RAM speed more than anything else. So the fact that this one supports the highest RAM clocks is actually the best case scenario for the 8000, because someone who is even remotely interested in say an 8700G, for example, they might want to see how well they can get the graphics to perform. So with a motherboard like this, they could potentially overclock it all the way to like 9600 megatransfers with an F clock of 2400. And that's probably the best scenario they can get to try to get the best graphics performance on the integrated graphics. Yeah, so it says that the HDMI supports 4K 60 and it's an HDMI 2.1. The USB 4 supports 4K 60 as specified in DisplayPort 1.4a. So the USB 4 ports have DisplayPort Alt Mode 1.4 and the HDMI is HDMI 2.1 for the integrated graphics. Okay, here we go. Here we go. When you use both PCIe slots, they both run at X8. That's normal. That is standard practice for pretty much like every motherboard that used to support SLI and Crossfire. When M.2_3 is enabled, it is just as I thought it would be. Because you guys remember me saying when we saw that weird X8. So remember when we saw X8, X4, X4? I thought, okay, this must be an M.2. And sure enough, M.2_3, when the third M.2 drive is in use, this is the third Gen 5 SSD, the graphics card runs at X8, and then the second PCIe slot runs at X4. So, okay, that's a compromise that is okay. And the reason why it's okay is because you're still getting the option to run up to 5 M.2 drives total, whereas previously it was 4 M.2 drives. So with the previous motherboard, it was 4 M.2 with no sharing the lanes. Now, you're still getting those 4 M.2s. The only difference is now if you want the 5th M.2, the way they implemented the 5th M.2, which is a Gen 5 M.2 slot, they take lanes from the graphics card. That's how they're doing it. Okay, so what that means for the diagram is when we go to the diagram, we're going to have there's going to be a switch. There's a switch here that will allow either full X16 or X8, X8, or X8, X4, X4. So the combinations are X16 or X8, X8, which means both of those guys run at X8 when they're both used. And then here you have an M.2, so you have X8, X4, X4, and that one, this happens when M.2_3 is in use. So this one's M.2_3. This one's PCIe 1. Right, I guess what were they using for the name? They say X16_1. And then this one in the middle is 16_2. Is the name. Okay. So that's how they implemented that. Big difference in creator perspective with less lanes on dedicated. What do you mean less lanes on dedicated? So we're only talking about the 16 lane right here. So we have 16 lanes, and it can get split into either all the lanes going to the graphics card, or the lanes getting split to these two, to the two PCIe slots, or 8 lanes go there, and then 4 lanes go here, and then 4 lanes go there. Those are the different combinations in the switch. Is the Nitro Lane thing a stopgap before Cam 2 or some other solution? No, it's ASUS's own proprietary technology. They've been developing that for years. That's like their own thing. That has nothing to do with Cam 2. That's an ASUS technology, guys. This is something that is exclusive to ASUS. The only way... I'm not saying that this can't come to other motherboard brands. They will have to develop their own solution if they want to implement something similar. Less bandwidth on X16. For creator workloads, that will never make a difference. You'll see the difference in gaming. Yeah, you will see the difference in gaming very slightly. But there is a difference. But for creator workloads, you will never see the difference. In fact, a lot of people use something called an external GPU with a laptop for creative workloads. Now, an external graphics card plugged in via Thunderbolt, or in this case, USB 4. So keep that in mind. This motherboard supports 4 graphics cards. Let me repeat that. This motherboard allows you to install 4 GPUs. 4 GPUs. How do you do 4 GPUs on this motherboard? One will connect to the top slot. This slot, 16_1. The second GPU goes to 16_2. The third GPU, where will the third GPU go? Let's see if people in the chat are industry veterans and know how to answer this. Because this motherboard only has 2 PCIe slots. We got 2 PCIe slots on this board. So one graphics card goes up here. The second graphics card goes down there. Where does the third and the fourth graphics card go? Okay, got it. USB 4. External graphics cards is the answer. External graphics cards. Oh, you know what? I didn't think of the integrated graphics, but you're right. Technically, there's a 5th graphics card. Well, okay. Technically, no, because integrated graphics is not a graphics card. It's not a discrete card, so we're not going to count that. So the other 2 go here and here. The USB port actually matters. It must be a USB 4. So it goes on this top USB-C and this second USB-C. If you plug the graphics card into the bottom USB-C, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. And you're going to think that you have a defective part, when in reality, you plugged it into the wrong port. So the port matters. Why? Because USB 4 includes a feature that nobody talks about except me. It's called, well, I guess maybe BuilderBy, he also mentions it. USB 4 features a technology called PCIe tunneling. You can tunnel PCIe lanes through USB, which means, think about a graphics card. What does a graphics card use? It uses PCIe lanes to connect to the motherboard. So if I want an external graphics card, I need to have PCIe lanes tunneled through the USB cable to get to my graphics card. And that is something that only USB 4 offers. USB-C, standard USB-C, so 3.2, 3.2 Gen 2, 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, none of those ports support PCIe tunneling, so none of them can handle an external graphics card. Only USB 4 can enable an external graphics card. So that is the reason why this is a big deal, because you can't do things like external graphics cards on a traditional desktop until USB 4. Now, technically, Thunderbolt, if your motherboard had Thunderbolt, it could also support external graphics cards. But how many desktop motherboards actually supported Thunderbolt without an add-in card? It was very rare. You know, like the ProArt has it. The Crosshair Hero has it. So some of them do, but not all of them. Not all of them. Thunderbolt 4 on dock, for example. DisplayLink is not Thunderbolt. Display link. I have a new video out on the channel that talks about display link. This is not what we're talking about. Is not display link. That is a completely different technology. That is a software-based technology for extending displays, virtual displays. That has nothing to do with USB 4 and Thunderbolt. DisplayLink was the way you could use extended monitors over USB. You cannot use DisplayLink to connect an external graphics card because DisplayLink is not a physical connector. It is a software-based tool. So that is a completely different topic. Okay, so the answer is the USB 4 allows you to connect graphics cards externally to the motherboard. So your third and fourth graphics cards are from the other two USB 4. So now what we need to do is figure out how the M.2s are. So we got one here, we got one here. That's easy. So that means on the diagram, we got M.2. You know, I'm just going to go up here because this is getting crowded. So I'm just going to draw these up here. So we have M.2_1 and M.2_2. Those are both PCIe Gen 5. And they connect directly to the CPU, which means these will have the fastest read and write speeds at the lowest latency because they have direct connection into the CPU socket. They bypass the chipset completely. So those Gen 5 drive slots are very fast. And then this one is equally as fast. The only thing is, keep in mind that this one shares lanes with the graphics card. So definitely use this one as the very last M.2 that you populate. So your fifth drive goes there. So the first one goes here, the second one goes here, the third one's going to go here, and the fourth one's going to go there, as we'll show later. Okay, what we'll do next is right here. We can already determine that the chipset, ASUS did it correctly. I was going to ding them if they went and put the USB 4 directly connected to the CPU because that would have been a waste of bandwidth. And the reason why that's a waste of bandwidth is because the USB 4 is using the ASM 4242 chipset from ASMedia. So this is too big, so I'm going to make this smaller. There. So this is the USB 4 controller. And this has two USB 4 40 gigabit ports. And these support DisplayPort Alt mode. They support PCIe tunneling. These are pretty amazing elite class USB-C ports. They're not your standard USB-C ports. So what ASUS has done is they have taken the integrated graphics on the socket and they have literally wire traces from the iGPU into the ASM to allow DisplayPort Alt mode to transmit video to a monitor from the integrated graphics. In fact, they've done that for both of the ports support DisplayPort Alt mode. This is how we're able to do the monitors. And then the other thing is there is an HDMI. You got an HDMI 2.1 over here. So you have a third monitor there, and then we have like two more monitors off of the ASM. And then we've got memory channels. We got channel A, channel B. So we have DDR5, A1, A2, and B1, B2. So these are two DPC dual channel motherboards. Yes, it is. It will also be on X870 regular. Yes, it is mandatory. Let me point that out to everybody. Every X870 and X870E motherboard, it doesn't matter how expensive it is or how cheap it is, it will feature the ASM 4242. So if you guys want a preview into what this does, check out the video that I did recently on the channel about ASUS's USB 4 add-in card. Because my Threadripper PC now has this ASM. So I have USB 4 on my Threadripper by adding this card into the PCIe slot. So if you want to see like an example of what you can use the USB for besides running external monitors, besides, you know, doing all that other stuff like external graphics cards, I show a specific use case that pertains to what I need to do with the computer, but you know, that just gives you guys an idea of what it can do and how to manage it through the Windows operating system. So that takes up 4 lanes of PCIe 4.0. That uses 4 lanes. So that chipset uses all the lanes on the first chipset. All the Gen 4 lanes. So that leaves some Gen 3 lanes. So what they have done with the Gen 3, actually we have to read if they've got okay. So they do have RAID, so that's very interesting. And okay, we're gonna have to read because this gets confusing. Okay, this part is kind of confusing. So as we have drawn in the diagram, these 3 are all CPU connected. So all the Gen 5 SSDs connect to the CPU. So that leaves the Gen 4. The Gen 4 drives connect to the chipset. There's 2 of them. There's _4 and _5. They're both Gen 4. And then the Slim SAS supports Gen 4. That's interesting. Because where are we going to get the lanes for that? And then there's 4 SATA 6 gig. AMD RAID Expert 2 technology supports both PCI RAID, this. RAID 5 is only supported by the 9000 series CPU. So you can't do RAID 5. For the 2 people that want to run RAID 5, you're going to have to be on Ryzen 9000. This is something that doesn't work. Apparently, ASUS doesn't allow RAID 5. Actually, I don't know if it's an ASUS limitation or if it's an AMD limitation, but looks like Zen 5 can do RAID 5 while the older Zen 4 cannot. Does X870 have 4 or 8? It has 8. It has 8. We mentioned it earlier. It has 8 Gen 4 and 4 Gen 3. Okay. Hold on a second. Wait a minute, what? When M.2 are enabled simultaneously, wait a minute, 2 and 3 are enabled simultaneously. Oh, so maybe they did wire the ASM to the CPU. When M.3, when the 3rd Gen 5 is enabled, this one will run at X8. Run at X8. This will run at X4. Huh? M.2 will be disabled. M.2 will be disabled if M.3 is enabled. But then you can run both of them together? Oh, okay. So, interesting. Okay, so it looks like they did wire the ASM to the CPU directly, bypassing the chipset. Okay, this is a little confusing. So So if you run the second and third Gen 5 drive, it disables the second PCIe slot. So that lower slot that has X8 lanes, those lanes go to these M.2 drives. And the graphics card will run at X8. When the third one is enabled, and oh, okay, I see the conditions. Okay, it's like a bunch of if statements in programming. Okay, so if the third Gen 5 is enabled and the second PCIe slot is also enabled, the second drive is disabled. Okay. So the bottom line is you can still use... Okay, there is some compromise here. There is a compromise here. I see the compromise. So, the compromise is you can only choose. You have to choose between the second PCIe slot or having the third M.2 drive. The third M.2 drive will disable... Okay, the second... Wait. Yeah, so you can either have 3 Gen 5 drives, or you can have 2 Gen 5 drives and an X4 Gen 5 open PCIe slot for something else. For whatever needs that slot. So, okay. Okay, so it's not terrible, but see, now we're starting to see the limitations of a consumer desktop mainstream platform versus an HEDT platform like Threadripper, which you don't have to think about this because Threadripper has an abundance of lanes that it's never a problem. Whereas with these mainstream parts, they try to pack in as much stuff as they can, but the reality is they're over provisioned, so there's going to be some give and take, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. So basically, if you're someone who's going to run a whole bunch of M.2, then that's fine. You just can't use the bottom PCIe slot. But if you're somebody who needs that bottom PCIe slot for either a second graphics card or some device that you're connecting in there, like a capture card, for example, like an internal capture card, then you can't use the fifth M.2 drive, which would be the third M.2. Okay, so we're going to have to update the diagram because that's different from what I originally thought. Okay, so that means that the ASM is not on the chipset. Well, that means we're going to have to delete some of this stuff that I didn't want to delete. Okay. We're going to have to undo, like, all of this, actually. Well, that one could stay. No, that one can't stay. Okay, so, in fact, you have to remove that. So this is what they did. I understand what they did now. So this still has the M.2 underscore 1. So M.2 underscore 1 does not share lanes with anything. The ASM is wired to the CPU. For some reason, ASUS thought this was a better approach. I'm not sure why. But they put ASM 4242 on the CPU direct, even though it doesn't need to be there. Because ASM 4242 only requires 4 lanes of PCIe Gen 4. But what ASUS has done is they've taken what could have been 4 lanes of Gen 5 and given that to the ASM. So the ASM doesn't care because it can't utilize Gen 5 speeds. It can only do up to Gen 4. So technically, we're wasting potential bandwidth, Gen 5 bandwidth, by putting the USB 4 ports on the CPU. But that's just how they did it. So, but you still have your USB 4 out the back. So we still have that. Okay. So that's what they did. That takes 4 lanes. This takes 4 lanes. So if you do the math, it adds up. 16 plus 4 plus 4. The total is 24. All lanes are accounted for. All CPU lanes are utilized. So nothing is wasted. Although potentially some Gen 5 bandwidth is wasted on this ASM because this is a Gen 4 device. And then there's some conditions here, like it's basically pick 2 out of the 3 things. So I think technically I have to redraw like all of this down here. So I'm just probably gonna have to delete all of this. And just clean all this up. Okay. That's gross. Would prefer the USB 4 not. Yeah, I know. Me too. Me too. I would have preferred it to go on the chipset. Okay. So there's actually 4 things off of this. So you have there's the PCIe. There's we'll just say PCIe 1, PCIe 2, and then we have M.2 underscore, what was it, 2, and M.2 underscore 3. So there's actually 4 devices that share this switch, or there's 4 things that share this switch. So you can either do this. This is X16. So this first one. So I guess, how should we say this? Like PCIe 1, what was the name of it? PCIe 1 underscore, or they say X16. Oh, we're gonna have to use their numbers or their name. Okay, maybe I should draw this like much larger. Let's just redraw this whole thing. So there's a switch here. Yeah, let's make it larger. So there's a big PLX switch that hangs off of the 16 lanes of Gen 5. And you've got the graphics card, you have the second PCIe slot, you have the second Gen 5 M.2, and you have the third Gen 5 M.2. Call it GPU 1, GPU 2. Well, I think we're going to stick to the name, I guess, because that's PCI X16 underscore 1 is this one. And the option for that is either X16 or X8. It's one or the other. It's pretty straightforward. It's either running at full bandwidth or it's running at half bandwidth. Then there's this one, which will probably have to make the font smaller. And then there's M.2 underscore 2 and M.2 underscore 3. Okay, so those are all the options off this giant PLX switch. Yeah, this is going to be an expensive motherboard. It's got a huge PLX switch that's Gen 5, and then it has an ASM 4242, although I don't think that's going to drive the price up that much. It's really going to be like all this weird stuff that they have here. Okay, so the choices are, I guess, PCIe X16 underscore 1 is either X16 or X8. PCIe X16 underscore 2, it's either X8 or is it ever, yeah, it's X4 or it's off. It's disabled. Those are the options for the second slot. Then for the M.2 underscore 2, what did I say? M.2 will be, okay, this one is either, how should we write this? This is either X4 or off. And it's only, okay, it goes here. No, it's actually, No, let's line it up. So it's when that guy's at X8, this is off. Or when that guy's at X4, this is off. Or if that guy, if I'm comparing the second drive, for those wondering what I'm doing, to the second PCIe slot. So if this guy's running at X8, this guy's off. If this guy's running at X4, this guy's also off. If this guy's off, meaning there's nothing connected, then this guy is X4. M.2_3. This one is either... okay, if that guy's X8, this is off. If you want to make the comparison with this, if this thing is running at X4, this can be X4. If that guy's off, this can be X4. So this is the matrix. We had to make a linear algebra matrix. Linear algebra matrix. It's a matrice. So you literally have, this is the condition. This is the conditions. If the second slot is at X8, then you don't have anything plugged in to your second and third M.2 drive. If you have the second one plugged in, then the PCIe slot is off. So that's the condition. That's how it works. So it's linear algebra. Okay. We had to use linear algebra to figure out how to draw this diagram. That's great. Okay. Now we can finally move on to the chipset. So again, X670 is king. X670 is basically this same thing, except X670 doesn't have 24 lanes of Gen 5. It depends, though, because X670 only has 4 lanes of Gen 5 and 20 lanes of Gen 4 when we're talking about CPU lanes, whereas X870 still has 24 lanes of Gen 5. So keep that in mind. That is a pretty significant difference in terms of the total bandwidth. Okay, now for this. This next part should be straightforward. So this one, we have 4 lanes, and this is going to be M.2_4. That's M.2_4. This is a PCI 4.0 bus with 4 lanes. There. Actually make this larger. Make it like, what, 36? Yeah. There. And then on the 3.0, this is where all the SATA stuff goes. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are going to be, however the ASUS does the drive numbering. Do they have like a number for their drives? Hold on. It's going to be based off of the drive storage. 4 SATA. And if it's Zen 5, it supports RAID 5. And 1 Slim SAS. So what is the Slim SAS connector? I think the Slim SAS is Gen 4. Yeah. Slim SAS off the chipset. So here's the chipset stuff. Whoops. This is the chipset. So 4 SATA, 1 Slim SAS, which is 4.0 4 lanes, and your other M.2s. Okay, so that totals 8, and then that totals 4, so that leaves our Gen 3 for everything else. Okay. The total lane count of the chipset is right here. Oh, you're talking about this? You're talking about this. This is 4 lanes. This is 4 lanes. Okay, now... So we'll just say 4x SATA. This takes all of this. There. That takes all the SATA. So all your legacy 2.5-inch SSDs, your spindle hard drives, those go off of the 3.0 bandwidth. Okay. So those are the chipset names. Promontory 21 is the chipset name. Alright, so now we have connected the 4th M.2. Now we need to connect the 5th M.2 and the Slim SAS. So the 5th M.2 and the Slim SAS hang off the bottom. In fact, it is possible that the Slim SAS connects to the primary chipset. There is a possibility that that's how they have that, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So this is the final M.2, and this is the Slim SAS. So both of these take 4 lanes of Gen 4 each. So there you go. So that accounts for all of the Gen 4 bandwidth. So we've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SSDs. And then for the Slim SAS, that hangs off of one of the chipsets, meaning the Slim SAS could be wired up here, and this 4th M.2 could be wired down there. I don't actually know, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, they're both using 4 lanes of Gen 4. And then the remaining lanes off of Gen 3 are going to be 1 lane for Wi-Fi 7, 1 lane for 2.5 gig Intel LAN, 1.5 gig LAN, and then 1 or maybe 2 lanes? Hold on. Do they have anything else? I think the last 2 lanes are probably for the 5 gig. Even though technically you can get away with 1 lane. Or maybe the Wi-Fi 7 actually takes 2 lanes. Because the Wi-Fi 7 technically, you know what? Maybe the Wi-Fi 7 actually uses 2 lanes. Because Wi-Fi 7 takes, theoretically, Wi-Fi 7 is up to 6.5 gigabit. So technically, even though it's not real world, technically speaking, we're talking theoretical throughput. Wi-Fi 7 actually has more bandwidth potential than the actual LAN. So we're going to say that the Wi-Fi 7 actually takes 2 lanes, and the 5 gig Realtek only takes 1 lane. So that means this is X2, this is X1, and this is X1. And therefore, we have derived the PCI 3.0 lanes and the chipset's PCI 4 lanes. So there we go. That is the X870E Crosshair Hero from ASUS. That's it. That's the block diagram. That is how everything, most likely everything's connected. If something is different, so what could be different? This could be down here, and these things could be up there. And likewise, this could be down here, and this could be up here. They're interchangeable. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day how they're actually wired, but this is a correct solution. So if this was like an exam derived the block diagram, that would pretty much be a 100. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. I think, how are we doing on time? Yeah, wow. So that's it. We're probably going to see more motherboards pop up from MSI Gigabyte ASRock going forward, but this is the first of the 4 flagship motherboards that we've seen so far. And the product page is available, so it is, all the resources are there. The Poverty Prime has everything I need. The Prime's an X, is that an X870 or an X870E? There might actually be both versions of the Prime. So, the only difference, like I said earlier, the only difference between X870 and X870E is this stuff in the middle. X870 will not have that stuff in the middle. So keep that in mind. If you're someone who is thinking about getting an X870E Crosshair Hero, this is the only thing that okay, the only complicated thing about this motherboard is you gotta know linear algebra to understand the intricacies of the connectivity. So technically, there is one limitation to this board, and that is if you want all 5 M.2 drives to be populated, then you can't use the second PCIe slot. That is one limitation of this motherboard. However, on the flip side, if you must use the second PCIe slot for whatever reason, you cannot use the second Gen 5 SSD. So I think it's a pretty decent compromise when you think about it, because it means if you only plan on using 4 M.2 drives, this motherboard is still fundamentally the same as the X670E Hero. However, the difference is this motherboard features the new ASM 4242, which has better throughput than the 40 gigabit ports found in the Crosshair Hero, the X670E Crosshair Hero. Why? Because this is ASM, whereas so I guess let's do a difference comparison here between these two. So the difference between these two, this one, the new one, uses ASM 4242. The old one uses JHL 8540. This is PCIe 3.0 X4. This new one is PCIe 4.0 X4. So the newer one has better bandwidth. I guess I didn't think this through too much, but you guys get what I'm saying. So that is difference number one. So you're getting more potential bi-directional 40 gig throughput on the 40 gigabit USB 4 ports on the newer motherboard versus the older one. The second benefit, or the second key differentiating factor, comparing the old and the new, is this one has, what is that? Nitro Path DDR5 traces. So this one has the new patented technology from ASUS that the older motherboard just doesn't have. So that's another thing. So potentially memory overclocking, and more importantly, possibly 4 DIMM configurations. So 2 DPC configurations are probably going to run at higher speeds on the newer X870E versus the older one. So if you're somebody who cares about a lot of RAM, like if you're going to be running 128 gigs of RAM or 192 gigs of RAM, the X870E has the potential to be better. So, we'll see. Like, it's going to take time. Obviously, people are going to have to test that to verify that ASUS's Nitro Path actually does something. But, yeah, that's something that remains to be seen. So anyway, those are some differences. I'm trying to think, like, what else? Oh, this one has up to 5, or I guess we should say 3 Gen 5 M.2 drives, whereas the other one had 2. Now, the caveat, though, is as we pointed out, if you run all 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, okay, these 3 don't matter, but if you want to run both of these together, you cannot use this. That is a compromise. That is like the only major compromise that I can think of on this board. But I will say a positive of the older one, no lane sharing as far as I know. I don't think does the Crosshair Hero use the dim.2? It's been a while since I looked at that. I don't think there's any lane sharing though. No lane sharing. So depending on how you view resource sharing like this, you may or may not like this motherboard. If you're someone who doesn't want to think twice about what they plug into the board, then the older motherboard might actually be better. Slim SAS is also something that you get on here. I don't know who's going to use Slim SAS, but I don't think that's on the old motherboard, so I guess that's another thing. This one has Slim SAS, unless the old one did. I don't know. I don't remember. It shows how much I pay attention to Slim SAS. It's the fact that I don't remember if it's on the old one. So we'll just put that down. So those are kind of the things. Those are like the main things. I guess the last one would be RAID 5 for the 2 people that actually use that. It has RAID 5. So there are some things, just looking at the 2 of them side by side, there are some features that you get on the newer one that are not immediately visible up front. If the Slim SAS wasn't there and the 4242 were there instead, this would be the perfect board to not steal lanes. Yeah, it is an interesting one. That's the reason why I would say it's going to be very interesting to see what the other vendors are doing with their motherboards. Like, what is the ASRock Taichi going to have? What is the Gigabyte Aorus Master going to do differently from ASUS? And then finally, what is MSI's Ace going to have that changes up the whole thing and stirs up the pot? So there could be potential differences with a lot of these other motherboards. So some of them may not even go with Slim SAS. So you don't have the lanes wasted on an ASM 42. So yeah, things like that could be different. There is none better than Crosshair. Ace will be interesting. Yeah, Ace will be very interesting because this is the thing about MSI that's going to be very, very interesting. If you guys remember, MSI was the one vendor that did not have USB 4 at all on any of the previous generation motherboards. Not a single motherboard from MSI offered USB 4 because MSI never purchased this JHL from Intel. MSI never bought this thing. They skipped it. As a result, none of their motherboards could feature USB 4 at the time. They were waiting for the 4242. But now that it's available, now we're going to get to see MSI motherboards that offer USB 4 because it's mandatory on these X870 and X870E boards. So yeah, I think the Ace is going to be very interesting. Especially because MSI was the one vendor that was doing like X4 Gen 5 unshared. Will we be seeing Slim SAS GPU someday? I don't know, man. I don't know. They must have done... ASUS had to have done some feasibility study that determined that Slim SAS is worth including. Whether they... Because remember, these hardware vendors... They can see, they have more visibility into what is coming down the pipe than what the regular consumer is aware of. So there's probably something that ASUS knows about that is related to Slim SAS that might actually take off. Now, does that mean that it's definitely going to take off? No, because we have seen, if you guys remember, U.2. U.2 was an alternative cable-based connection for M.2, for NVMe. And U.2 never took off in the consumer market. The very first flagship MSI X370 Gaming Titanium, which was the flagship first-gen Ryzen motherboard from MSI, featured a U.2 interface, and it was never utilized because there were no drives that people would use with it. So Slim SAS could end up like that, where it's like they stuck it on the board, no one uses it, no one produces anything that can utilize it. So it's like it ends up being a waste, and then that's gonna make this motherboard potentially age worse than others that skip Slim SAS. So who knows? It really depends on like what's gonna happen in the future. This is likely intended for a server type setup. I don't think ASUS is marketing it that way, Nero. If this was intended for a server, I think ASUS would have been marketing it differently. Why would anyone use USB 4 in a desktop anyway? External capture cards. Storage, external storage. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I personally use USB 4 for an external 4K 60 with HDR capture card. You can do it on USB 3, but only now can you do it on USB 3, and it has delay. It has only now, only this year, is it possible to actually use external USB capture cards viably on PC. Because the thing with USB 3, the thing that would make it not feasible was if you wanted to play your game using the capture card preview window and play the game. Meaning you are literally playing the game, like, think of it like this. Imagine you're playing your PS5, but you want the PS5 connected to the external capture card or the internal capture card. Well, okay, we're talking USB. So you connect the PS5 to a USB 3.0 capture card, and you're running at 4K 60. That USB 3 capture card is going to have some input latency, way more than a USB 4. So, because what I can tell you is, earlier this year, when I was streaming Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on this channel, the way I was doing that was using USB 4, using a Thunderbolt 3 capture card from AverMedia. And I was not using the monitor to play the game. I was literally playing the monitor, or I was literally playing Final Fantasy VII on the PS5 through the preview window of OBS. So you get zero latency that way, or it's like way, way lower latency than if you're using USB 3. So the bottom line is there are use cases for USB 4 that you cannot do on standard USB 3.2. We talked about PCIe tunneling. You cannot do PCIe tunneling on USB 3.2. So, and you get that with USB 4. So it's definitely not useless, but it's not for everybody. I'm not saying like everybody needs it, but you guys know my old saying, it's better to have something and not need it than to find yourself in a situation where you actually need something and you don't have it readily available. So I'd rather have it than not have it. So that's pretty much it. We will be talking about the other motherboards from MSI, Gigabyte, ASRock once they start revealing those things. I don't know if they're going to reveal those things at Gamescom. As far as I know, only ASUS was in attendance. So, but who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe they start leaking them officially this week, but it should be soon. So there's going to be a lot more vendors, lots of motherboard news and more stuff from the gaming news throughout this week. And then going into next month, so next month is TGS. So Tokyo Game Show will also be another big gaming convention thing. But I don't know. I think Gamescom typically, if you're someone who plays on PC, Gamescom covers more of the PC gaming market, whereas TGS tends to be more like mobile and console. That's kind of how it's become over the last several years. So, you wonder if RDNA 4 will get announced at Gamescom? If it does get announced this year officially at like an event, it would have to be Gamescom. I don't think historically there's never been any significant PC related hardware announcement at TGS. So if it is going to happen, it would have to be Gamescom, which means it would have to be within the next 3 to 4 days. So otherwise, I don't think we're going to see that this year. I don't know, unless they're gonna do something. So, but yeah, I think most of that stuff is probably next year, probably Q1. I want to say, but who knows? We'll see. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this stream. That was kind of the overview of ASUS and their new product announcements for the PC DIY and the PC gaming market. So we do these live streams typically every Thursday. The only reason why we're doing these kind of like on these Monday, Tuesday thing is because Gamescom is going on this week. So normally, if you're new to the channel, we don't actually live stream every day like this. It's just because it's Gamescom. That's why. So the regular stream schedule is every Thursdays. So if you want to ask tech-related questions, Thursday is the day to do it. There's like a free forum discussion, and otherwise, if no one's asking anything, then we'll just talk about like random tech news that happened throughout the week. So if you're new to the channel, get subscribed if you like this kind of stuff. If you're a PC DIY enthusiast or a hobbyist, you like building PCs, that's kind of what we're all about here. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. And I will see you guys on Tech Thursdays this week. And we'll be talking about the Gamescom reveals and games coming out next year or later this year. Until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.